Hooray! Hi guys, it's a girl lilymutamztv, also known as Z, girl from Zambia. If you're new to my YouTube channel, please subscribe so that each time I upload videos, you will be notified that Z I post a video. Thank you so much for more than 67,200 subscribers. I am so grateful that each and every one of you keeps on coming to my YouTube channel na totela sana. Who's watching and where are you watching us from? As you can see, today we're talking about very important matters, things that are happening in Zambia. And I've been having people coming on my live streams, supporting the live streams. Thank you very much. I don't take this lightly. And obviously, as a content creator, I also need to rest because I've got lots of things that I need to do to edit. But, you know, when people want to be part of the live streams, it's imperative that obviously I honor what people would like us to do together. So Natotela Sana, thank you so much for your love, for your love, for your love, for your love. Thank you very much. So, where are you watching us from? I can see there's Charles Modenda. Kaisala, how are you? Good to see you. Karim, good to see you. Those of you who would like to join us on this stream, the links are the ones that I have posted on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel. So as you've read from the title, we're talking about the presidential fees. We're also talking about the Chinese language in Zambia. Is it compulsory for students in Zambia to write Mandarin in our exams? Should it be part of our curriculum? So that's the discussion we have. And also we're talking about the voting. You know, we've been asked to register as voters only in the month of October, meaning for some of us who live in the diaspora, we can't be part of the voting next year. And that would be a shame. So some of us have to make plans to travel during that month to Zambia. But I believe it won't be possible for everyone because not everybody will get a holiday around that time. So thank you so much for those of you who are here. So I'll start with the presidential fees whilst I wait for people to come on. I was surprised at what I saw. You know, I'm not so sure how the presidential fees can be this expensive. Let me just read them. Hi, how are you, Olympus Tech? Good to see you. I was very surprised with what I was reading from the Electoral Commission. I couldn't believe it, honestly. Like, you know, how is this possible that the fees can be that expensive? So we start with the presidential elections. Obviously, the presidential, those who want to be in office, presidential male candidates. At present, the fees, like, you know, the current fees at 2016 were 60,000 kwacha. If you know what dollars are, let me know what how much 60,000 kwacha is in dollars. And then for the proposed fees is 150,000 kwacha. Now that's a lot of money just for a seat. I couldn't believe this was the amount of money. 150,000 kwacha is a lot. It can build somebody a house. You know, it's a lot of money. And I read on Chilufia Tayali's post, he was like, he's happy it's expensive so that the cheap boys can't run for office. I'm like, dude, this is too much money, honestly. It's too much money. It's too much money. Okay, I'm still reading the fees. Okay, yeah, this is the problem that I experience. When they start, they make it private. So I know a lot of people on Facebook weren't even accessing this. Oh, okay. But you can hear me clearly. I hope you can hear me. Yeah. So for those of you who are just joining now, unfortunately, my stream was showing private instead of public. So I have to even start a watch party. Join us now. And for those of you who want to join, let me know. Yes. We talk about elections 2020 2021. So there's a lot of fire in Zambia, obviously. Like, everybody is tensed. Political parties are tensed. Everybody's tensed. Okay, so at least it's showing now. Political parties are tensed, and I believe even you as a youth, you're not so sure, which political party to choose. We are all just confused, but at the end of the day, what's important is we know where we stand. Okay, so Auntie Winnie says 60,000 kwacha is $3,600. So for those of you who are just joining now, my name is lilymutamztv, also known as Z. I know you've just only connected because the live stream was showing private on my Facebook, but now you can see what we're talking about. So we're talking about the fees, presidential fees. They are so expensive. From 60,000 kwacha, which is $3,600, Winnie. Auntie Winnie has just given us the price. So Auntie Winnie, how much is 150,000? So now they've been increased. That's double. So double 150,000 should be 3,600 times 2, then plus maybe an extra $200. That's like 7,000. Yeah, 7,500 or something. 7,500 or something. That's a lot of money just for somebody to run in office. It's a lot of money. So that's, and then for the women, so women have a different price. Is it a price tag or the fee? Women are paying, are told they can pay 60,000 lower to in 2016 it was 60,000. Now it's 120,000. So if you're a woman, you're paying 120,000 this year, which is $3,600 times 2. Wow, that's a lot of money. Honestly, like just to run for office. So $7,500. Thanks very much, Makeups. If you are watching me on Facebook and you can hear me, let me know. Post a comment, I'll see it here. So Auntie Winnie just told us that $60,000 for the presidential fee is 60,000 kwacha, sorry, is $3,600. That's a lot of money. And for the women, it's 120,000, and then it's doubled to from 60,000, so double of that. That's a lot of money. So the list goes on, but the fees are so high. And I was just wondering, like, the fees are too much, Yeah, the fees are too much. But obviously, those who have funders, it's nothing. Like Kochangwa is saying, I'm sure that's a piece of cake, especially for those who know the benefit. Yeah, it's nothing for those who know the benefit. And then we have parliamentary male. So when you have like disabilities, the figure is lower. But I don't know if we've ever had anybody with disabilities in office, like as a president yet. No, not yet. But the figure is lower. It's like you're treated like the women as well. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about that. And then for those of you who are joining, if you have a comment on that, do you think this will stop others from, taking part in the presidential elections? Do you think that people cannot afford that? And then last night, I had a live stream on my YouTube channel with my subscribers, and we're talking about the language, the Chinese language. And of course, it's called the Mandarin. Somebody was arguing on my Facebook to say, oh, it's called Mandarin. Why are you calling it Chinese? I'm like, even the Chinese themselves call it Chinese. So what I want to do is I want to read a few comments from what people were saying on my Facebook. And you just tell me what you think, because in my opinion, I feel if any country, we have investors from that particular country, they come to our country, they should learn our local language. But if they are coming from wherever they're coming from and they're asking us to learn their language, then it means there's a problem. Karim is asking about rigging. Karim, how can you rig when you can't afford the fees for presidential elections as a presidential candidate? Okay, Bashi Shifra says they don't want us youths to stand on positions. It's possible for us youths to stand in the positions if we raise the money. It's not a challenge. It's not like you cannot that you only need to, you can only do this only if you have this, type of money, and only if people, you use your money from your pocket. No, you can use money from thing. Child, I've never been a UPN cadre. Are you just knowing me today? I'm a vlog, I'm not a cadre. What will I be doing as a cadre for what? I've never been a cadre. Yeah. Bashi Shifra says they don't want us youth to take part. But Bashi Shifra, if you are serious and you really want to take part, we can do a GoFundMe for you and we raise the money for you. Because looking at the fees, say for example, I know Simon Mwila wants to stand for, somebody wants to join, Masuzio wants to join, but keeps on being disconnected. Okay, for example, Simon Mwila wants to stand as a mayor next year, and the mayor fees are 25,000 kwacha. We can raise 25,000 kwacha. We can, honestly, we can. 25,000 kwacha. We can raise. Council chairperson, 10,000. We can raise that. Councillor, we can raise that. We can raise that. Honestly, we can raise that. Oh, hi, I'm Malenga, watching from Petauke, but you can hear me clearly. So I don't think it's much of a loss if you wanted to take part, especially as a youth. For me, what I would encourage is, if you're a youth and you want to participate in the elections, it's better you join maybe as a mayor first, climb the ladder small, or as a councillor or council person. But if you want to find yourself at the top, like presidency, it's a big risk, because you need a lot of money. You need to make an impact. People need to know you. And there's just something about our African people. We believe in, leadership of somebody who's mature. We are not yet advanced, especially in Zambia, like the level whereby we can say, okay, we can accept somebody who's 50 to be president. We're not yet there, like somebody who's young. But if we find somebody who's young and who can, prove to us. I know, for example, we had Elias Chipimo, who was trying to stand last time, and he was doing quite well. But, he's not running for office anymore, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So I would say it's better to stand as a mayor. So then on my Facebook, we're talking about the Mandarin, Chinese. If you want to speak Chinese language in Zambia, is it compulsory? Is it not compulsory? So I posted my thumbnail on my Facebook, because I believe my YouTube subscribers, they know, because we've been discussing this. But my Facebook people, don't know about this. Okay, I've just seen Joanne come on board. Joanne, make sure you reduce any sound in the background before you come on, please. I said, Gelo opposite, love the Chitambala. Can I tell you a secret about this? I went to Soweto Market. There's a video that I've done for Soweto Market. You'll see me buying a dress for my daughter. This is the dress. So it's a dress, and I just decided to tie it like this. Okay, Joanne is here. Let's talk about this thing. How are you, sir? Let me put some volume. Put your volume, please. No volume. Try and put your sound on. It seems you don't have any sound. I don't know why. You don't have sound. Yeah, speak now. No, we can't hear you at all. Try and sort out your sound. Maybe remove your earphones. Maybe remove your earphones. Hello? No, we can't hear you at all. So you sort out your sound and then you'll be back. Nothing. Yeah. Sort out your sound. You need to sort out your sound. You need to add the sound. Okay. Let me share this. Okay. Rachel. Oh my goodness. I knew you took the princess dress from day one. Rachel, you never told me. Chinese exams in Zambia and elections. So I'm just sharing this on Facebook because I think people haven't yet seen that we are live. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Kabaka Zola from Canada. Good to see you. Yeah. So I had posted this on my Facebook and talking about the Chinese exams, and people were fighting me, like some people, obviously. So I want to read some comments for you. So I posted my thumbnail on my Facebook page. That's my Facebook page. It's written as lilymutamztv. I posted my thumbnail. And when I posted my thumbnail, I just, the caption was, I didn't know that we have Chinese exams in Zambia. Wow, I was shocked last night. So please help me read what I wrote in Chinese in this thumbnail for my YouTube channel. I did a live stream on my YouTube channel and the world is in shock. How did we get to this stage? Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So that's the thumbnail on my YouTube channel. So I put Siawan's image as well because I added him to the video. And the comments. Hi, Prince. How are the parents watching? Yes, Prince, that's what we're talking about. Hi, teacher. Good to see you. Yeah. Okay, so the comments I received. This one, I really wanted to read this one. This one was by Mutepa from Zambia. That's why I wanted us to do a live stream so that we can discuss. Some people are, if you're trying to join the stream, just keep on trying because it says you're disconnected, guys. Oh, my battery is ever flat. Okay, but it's a long post, but I'll read it because I really want us to discuss. When you come on board, you tell me what you think. Mutepa Kamoto said, learn the Chinese language. That today is a superpower. So yes, they might be doing some nonsense in Africa, but a child who learns that language today has a better standing with them in his business relationships tomorrow. So he is saying that if you want to do business with the Chinese, learn the Chinese language. Like it or not, their plan for Africa has started 50 years ago, and because he's putting full stops. Like it or not, the plan for Africa was started 50 years ago. And they are aggressive to making sure their footprint is in every corner of Africa. So while we might hate them, it's like saying, I won't use the US dollar. Like it or not, you will use it. The world doesn't care. The forces will make you use it. Exactly with the Chinese. They are here. Let the children learn that language. His post was long, and I really wanted us to discuss based on what he said. Let our children learn that language, right? And begin to interact with them on a whole different level in 20 years' time. Mwila mwena if into no, but like don't look at things for now. Let's look at the future. That's what he's saying. Reality is they are here and to save the next generation from being plain ignorant like this generation is. Let them learn their language. My humble advice. So his advice is we should all learn, or the children should learn, because 20 years from now they'll be interacting with the Chinese. And I was surprised. Like, okay, have you seen any Zambian going to China and teaching the Chinese people the language? No, I haven't. Everyone is busy trying to support the Chinese, yet they are not even thinking of how you can integrate in their country. By the way, we have Bank of China in Zambia, but we can't have Bank of Zambia in China. They can't allow you to introduce your language to them. So why should we learn their language in our country? So I was asking, is Chinese language or Mandarin, like one girl was thinking, I don't know, it's called Mandarin, is it compulsory in Zambia? Rachel says, I'm all for people learning a new language, etc. Making it part of the curriculum is a wild different kettle of fish. We need to be careful how things are taken. Yes. So for me, I was like, if somebody wants to, learn the language, optional, it's fine. But to tell me that it's compulsory to learn Chinese language, I'm not going to learn Chinese language at where somebody says you have to. And then somebody else, okay. Now this comment was funny. Elifa says they are going to introduce eating snakes to our school going children in future. We don't need Chinese language in Zambia for what? I think they should start packing their Katundos 2021, is for Zambian people. Because we have lots of Indians in Zambia. These people have stayed in Zambia for many years. They learn our language instead. So why should we say it's okay for them to learn our language? So I thought, let me ask you what you think. Zedma says, so why not make Spanish or French compulsory? Chinese should be an option, not forced upon Africans. Exactly. But then, like yesterday when we were going through what we're going through, some people saying the exam is there and I think it's compulsory, but then on reading on my comments, some people have been saying it's not compulsory, it's an option. But people were rather encouraging. So Chanda Malata said, what's wrong with learning Chinese? In as much as I know it's not compulsory, people learn other languages. I was like, no, if it's not compulsory, it's fine. We don't mind. But being forced to, because that's what we've been told. Like, it's like children need to be learning the language. So Mutonga said English, French, and Chinese are foreign languages. None of them is special. Chinese language is now added to the UN Council. It's here to stay. Besides, soon China will be the largest economy on earth. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's also be united and cooperative in growing our economy so that in our near future, we too can impose our national language, be it Nyanya Tonga, on weaker countries. Simple that way. So that was a good comment. He was just saying the UN have adapted the Chinese language. So you can't tell us that we shouldn't have Chinese language. It's better we learn it. But what I know is if you've watched the UN conferences, you see different people from different parts of the world. They all wear their earphones. And when they wear their earphones, somebody will be translating. So do we have to learn Chinese? Okay. Somebody has commented. Jojo Core 64 says, how is it helping the Chinese people right now in China as they are being forced to go back in CV-19 lockdown, coming to a place near you again, negative? So what this person is saying is, how is this going to help people in China? For example, if we are learning Chinese in Zambia, of what benefit? I mean, unless you're saying that we should allow the billboards in Zambia written in Chinese, we should allow everything, whatever they've brought in, written in Chinese, and then it's fine by you, but I don't think we should accept anything because we feel China is a superpower, China is a super economy. At one time, some countries were great, powerful countries, but things change. Things have changed. All we need is to be united as Africans. And that's it. If we are united as Africans, we wouldn't experience that. Kabia says, if the Chinese are allowed to take over, forget about Zambia being a Christian a nation. The Chinese don't believe in God. That's another point. So you should be careful what you're considering, guys. Okay, so Gladys said, Gladys was the only one, by the way, who decoded what I wrote in Chinese. Nobody, everybody was just straight commenting on whatever, but she decoded it and she said, you said I do not want to study Chinese in my country. So that was what I wrote there. I wrote, I do not want to study Chinese in my country. Then she said, well, I can speak Chinese and I wanted to give you my 2 cents. Then I now told her, hi Zulu, how are you? If you want to join the stream, let me know. The link is posted. And then, oh, Messi is coming. Okay, Masuz is here as well. So let me bring a guest. Messi is here. Black Data said it's for them to gain influence. Thank you. I hope you people on Facebook are watching. This is coming from YouTube. Let me put this comment here. Black Data says it's for the Chinese to gain influence. Once you start using their language, they can easily create puppets among you. So let's not accept anything. If you want to learn it, like optional, but not compulsory. Otherwise, it's going to be a big mess. Danny also said China is a superpower, regardless of what, how you feel about their presence in Zambia. Learning Chinese should be considered a milestone in our education system. Chinese conquest is inevitable, but we will still be a step further if we can speak their language at least. This resistance is throwing that baby out of the water. Hi, Messi, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How is it going?
Going okay. A little bit disappointing because it feels like we have a new master now, like a new face, same sin of colonization. And the sad thing is, we've been through this before. There's history books written about it before. We're still feeling the effects from the earlier colonizers. So why we cannot learn from that, I can't understand. The situation right now does not point to a fair or partnership that makes sense for the country with China. There is no control, there's no putting forward of terms, or should I say there's no agreeing to these partnerships on our terms. We're not doing that. When our people are mistreated, we're the ones who are apologizing to the oppressor. It doesn't make sense. This is like the complete opposite of what should be happening. When there are wrongdoings, we should be bold and come out and condemn them in the way that Miles Sampa did. And people like him should not be vilified. They should not be asked to apologize. They should be supported. If you don't like the language that they used or the tone that they used in the way they were challenging the oppressors, then you speak on that and control it. But nonetheless, you condemn all acts of oppression. But we're not doing that. So there's a failure again, which I blame on the current leadership. They're not doing their job. And as I said before, they said, oh, Miles overstepped. But the people that said he overstepped have chosen to turn a blind eye to the oppression that's coming from Chinese investors. So what does that say about them? It's the same thing I keep saying. This leadership is weak, and the weaknesses are seen in the fact that they do not stand up for Zambians, and they do not defend them, and they don't defend the country. In addition to that, they've been making deals which do not benefit the country. They're allowing investors to come in and take total control and bring in their own people. So they're the only ones who benefit. They don't hire Zambians, so Zambia suffers. So it's like you're giving something away for free so that you can have assets which don't even bring money into your country. So all you have, as I say, what is it in Nyanja? You say Nimade Kochabe. You have a stadium, but you're not getting much revenue from there. But you go and give away a mine full of gold and copper, which you can sell And in the end, the country would be earning money from that. That's what you're giving away. So it's like the complete opposite. And one questions, who's the brain behind this madness? Because clearly they're not thinking straight, and they're not thinking about the interest of the Zambians. They're just looking at something temporary where they're accepting bribes, because this is a thing that we are well known for. You know, when a few people start taking the bribes, they know what you're like, and they talk amongst themselves, and they advise each other, which means anyone can come to Zambia as long as you've got money. You don't even have to be an upstanding citizen of China. As long as you put forward some type of proposal, which is part of the expansion program of China, because they want to get bigger and bigger. You get a loan from Bank of China. You can come. You just have to be anybody. You can come to Zambia and say, this is what I want to do, to go and invest. They'll give you money. And what that does, because the government has misplaced priorities, they're not empowering Zambians. The foreign investor who comes in will be able to afford to buy things like land. We're talking about land. You know, we should buy land in Zambia, empower ourselves. But whoever is selling that land, whoever is allocating it, they will go for the most attractive deal for whoever gives the most money. So what you find happening is there'll be more of that land allocated to the Chinese, and there will be less and less given to the Zambians, because if they can't work, they don't even have a place to start from. I mean, how if you could say, okay, let me do Malasha. How many Malasha do you have to sell, you know, before you can acquire land? So those are the things we need to think about. There's no one looking out for us, which is why I say this government needs to go. This is a government which doesn't stand up for you. They're showing you that when you are oppressed, you should be quiet. If you speak, you know, we will make you apologize. It's incredibly insulting. It's embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. So they need to go. They need to go. And we really need to work together and ensure that this Bill 10 doesn't pass through. I mean, the things that they were talking about the youths, that there's things in Bill 10 which will help out the youths and the disabled people. Those things are already provided for, isn't it? They're already provided for. They do not need Bill 10 to introduce them. Those things are already there. So it's just for optics, I think, what's going on. So we really need to be careful. We need to work together and ensure that this government is out. Think of your belly. How hungry are you? You know, and what you're being given, one bag of meal. Is that going to last you until the next election? You need to think about that. What are you going to do after that meal is finished? You know, so we really need to be careful with the learning of the languages, the Chinese language. Fine, I hear the point of where they're saying if you understand it, you're going to be a step ahead of them. I'm not quite sure about that. I think it should be done in a controlled manner, because the way that it's coming in and it's being imposed on us, I'm really suspicious, because when you look at the things that they are owning, things to do with communication, because with the language, it's about communication. So if they're going to go for your assets like ZNBC, they're going to control what is put out there. And because they're benefiting from the current corruption of this regime and their weaknesses, they will make sure that what is being reported has nothing to do with the complaints that the Zambians have. Because what that does, if we complain and it's televised on ZNBC, it will work against the interests of the Chinese investors. So with the language, it needs to be controlled. It needs to be optional. But this government doesn't understand control, regulations, and options. They don't understand that. It's just yes, please, yes, bwana, yes, bwana. That's what they're saying to the Chinese. So we're not winning here. So that has to be controlled. And it's just a quick way to colonize people. And the next thing that you're going to see now, what's going to come in next? Our assets are gone. You're going to see now military bases, Chinese military bases in Africa. It's like they're building a world army. So can you imagine China, if they have military bases in the entire Africa, they train their own soldiers and stuff like that. When there's a war, they'll have the biggest army in the world. Because if they control Africa and the population in there and they're part of the Chinese army, no one will touch them in the world. So we really need to be thinking about ourselves and how we can benefit from this and not give away our resources. There's a reason that those satellites are up there. Everyone is scanning. looking at Africa, because we
Yes.
have the largest reserves of resources in the world, and everyone is looking to us. So we need to be careful. Always remember, people out there want what we have, and if we're going to partner with them, we do it on our own terms. And I'm even worried about security, because now you're going to see Chinese in the Zambia police. You're going to start seeing Chinese in the army. You're going to see Chinese will start building infrastructure. They'll be very much involved in our technology, and that is going to compromise our national security. You cannot have a foreign power be giving you technology which you use in national security. This is something that China already attempted in the US, where they were acquiring as many companies as possible in Silicon Valley, and the regulators had to come and say, no, they cannot be doing this because we can't be using their technology in our security. We won't have any secrets. So we really need to be careful. We're not a big country. We're not as powerful as other countries. So there are so many battles that we have to fight at the world stage. And look at us. We can't even fight the small battles. You can't even stand up and say, don't oppress my people. So this government needs to go.
Thank you very much, sis. Hold on. Kwachangwe, what would you like to say about Zambia having a Chinese language, or you call it Mandarin?
Yeah, I mean,
yes. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, lady. I mean, there's nothing wrong in learning another language, but it has to be intentional, you know, and that's why I totally agree with my sister Mary. Mercy said, I think there's a bit of being gullible in our. Most of our leaders are very gullible. You know what I mean? In a sense that because they get a lot of money from China, they have no voice to question some of these things, and also put boundaries around certain things that are coming from the people that are feeding their plates. So that's where the problem comes, because I think what China is doing is what we call a new kind of colonialism, neocolonialism. If you know, in the UK, people are foreigners. You can't have a national or passport unless you learn English. You have to go and learn English. So that's just the way it is. So I think what is supposed to be is that there's no fair play in terms of dealing with China. And I totally agree with what Dr. Nevas Mumba said. Even Michael Sata said that there has to be a negotiation where there's a fair playing field where both parties agree on certain terms without crossing certain boundaries. But I think what has happened in Zambia is the tentacles of China has gone so deep in our culture, our economy, in everything, in our ZNBC, so much that these tentacles are spreading now in our education system. And it's very, very difficult once you are encapsulated in such a way. It becomes like an you know. I would say there's nothing wrong in learning Chinese or Spanish or any other thing, but it should not be at the expense of your own culture, where your culture is drowning because of another culture. And I think that's the problem which is there in Zambia, is that what we have seen recently, whether it's in the political term, my perception is that even this bulletin is like it's being engineered by the political party in China, the CPP. You know, that's the that's the way. Yeah, CPP is sort of like behind what the government's proposing with bulletin, because that's the Chinese people. They are good people, but it's the system of their political party, the CPP, controls everything. You know, controls the citizen. There's no human rights. We have seen what's happening in Hong Kong. There's literally no human rights, and that's exactly Africa. So Zambia would be like a small little China, you know, where people have no human rights. And now if we embrace their Chinese, we speak their how oh my goodness. And also the idea of putting Chinese billboards everywhere, that's anathema. How can you change like that? You know, that's totally drunk. I would say, I think we have to be very, very careful. There has to be a government where there are checks and balances, where there's a boundary, and ethics of maintaining our culture. But I think that the Chinese are drowning Zambia at every level.
Yes.
And there's a need for
Yes.
a robust government that will stand up for the rights of the Zambian, that will stand up for the interests of the Zambian and fight for the fair play with Zambia. If the Chinese are coming in, they have to play also on our terms. We cannot keep on dancing to the music of the Chinese just because they have money and sell our heritage. Even the selling of lands to Chinese, there has to be a good legislation. You know, they can lease the land, but not selling our land, because when you sell your land, then you lose the property. You know, so I think. But what we have seen with this government, which is there, is actually is not good for the Zambian. It's good for their pockets and the political party.
Yes.
I think that's why we need a different government team. That's my view, really.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kwachangwe. Portia has been waiting. Portia is watching us from Australia. How are you, Portia?
Hey, how are you? It's actually almost 3 It's actually almost 3 a.m. here, and
thank you for joining us. Thank you.
You know, I couldn't sleep today because this Chinese language thing has just made me feel like, what the hell is happening right now? Like, why? You know, China, you know, they're a communist country. They don't believe in any god. They worship Confucius, okay? And all the churches that are actually quiet or whatever they're doing, you know what's going to happen? When China takes over, they've got the rights to actually close any church they want. You get what I'm saying? And yes, that's what they do. They would close because they don't believe, they worship Confucius and the government. Okay?
Wow.
So no wonder why the Chinese don't have any rights in their own country, because they gotta worship the government, they gotta worship Confucius. You know, I've stayed with I've been friends with Chinese and I've done business with them. Trust me, they're horrible people. They're horrible people. And what they are planning to do, I can see through everything they're doing, because even, you know, even me myself doing business in my country, it's a very big it's very, very hard to do business in my own country, because the Chinese just come and just, you know, they run it. They run it. And the fact that even I can't just imagine a child going to school and learning Chinese. You know, even just the thought of that just makes me want to vomit. Like, it's not right. Okay, it's okay for them to come and invest. You know, it's supposed to be like, you know, if they come and invest in the country, they're not supposed to come and take over our resources. There has to be somewhere in the, I don't know, in the constitution where someone, a Zambian is supposed to be in leading, okay, at Pakra. Okay, a Zambia is leading at Pakra, and then if a Chinese or a European or whatever, they come in, they have to work with the Zambian, so that if that Chinese goes back, the business goes ahead. You get what I'm saying? And there's so much I can say, but I gotta give my other friends to let my other friends to speak. But I must say that I'm very, very disappointed. And you know, Lily, I don't speak much about things, but this one has really, really touched me. Like, I can't have my own grandmother in the village wanting to be, you know, being mistreated by a Chinese. I can't even fathom that. I just can't, because those people, they are not good people. They're not, you know. It's okay if someone comes into your country and then they invest and then they respect you and they respect your views, you know. But then they come into your country, disrespect your culture, disrespect your everything that you believe in, and want to bring in and oppress you and put you like you're nothing.
Thank you so much, Portia.
A lot of the government institutions in Zambia are actually run by the Chinese. The police is run by the Chinese. It is run by the Chinese. Okay, and it just hurts. It does hurt.
ZMB2 is run by the Chinese. Thank you so much, Portia. Joe, how are you?
Hey Lily, I'm back. I went late.
I know.
Everyone,
Yesterday, Joe wanted me to be live. I said, Joe, I'm resting today.
thank you very much for letting me. I'm fine, thank you. Quite tired, but we can talk. Yeah, we gotta talk. So, are we talking about the Chinese language, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, because there's two topics here. We're talking about the Chinese language and the presidential fees and the voting. So whichever you pick on is fine.
Thank you very much. I hope I'll be allowed to speak quite a lot. Okay, so my question is, what do we want? What Zambia do we want? Because it seems to me like we're people that don't know what we want. Any wind can push us. This one can just come and push us. This one can come and push us. Now, I actually asked myself when I saw that timetable of exams, and then I saw a circling of Chinese, and I'm like, we have 72 languages in Zambia. We are not short of languages. That's why what a shortage of language. I'm at pains to understand why we have left 72 languages in Zambia. We've not made any syllabus of anything in any of those Zambian languages. We've gone to China. We are borrowing money from China. We are asking the French to think for us how to restructure our debt at a cost of 5 million. We are having someone else mine our code. Even the official language we are using is not ours. Now, 55 years after independence, if I'm not mistaken, we are not able to enjoy our own languages. We are not saying we hate the Chinese. No, they are okay. They have helped us with loans, but what have we even done with those loans? So that's why I always say, what kind of a Zambia do we want for the next generations to say, this is what our ancestors, our forefathers did for us? Like we always refer to the Kumbulas, to the Kapwepwes. What are people going to refer to this generation in the next 50 years? Because for someone to come and teach us their language, one, there's teachers to be trained to teach that language. At whose cost? Is China paying for those teachers that are being trained in universities? I don't even know where this training is being done before our pupils have been polluted. And where the Zambian people asked whether they wanted to be taught Chinese, 72 languages, and we have 7 major ones which are read on news broadcast. Do we have a shortage of language? We don't have a shortage of language. So why are we even importing language, importing Amatropico, importing Imbare together with language? Tatoa kwata language is my question. We are not in a hurry. We are not in a hurry to have. So tuaripata ma languages ayeng. We are even yanatitinka notitinka ma languages. There's Tumbuka, Tonga, what fiari fula. What we want is to fix the economy. This language, what is it going to change to speak Chinese in Zambia? Is the question. Because it looks like there's some haphazard doing of things where there's no purpose, there's no spirit of the nation. When you are changing, a language is part of culture, and culture is the richest wealth that any nation can have. Before you even talk about the economy, you need to believe in yourselves that you can do things as a people and become an example to other countries. So we are not always going to be a copycat of others. China is not a Christian nation. Zambia is a Christian nation. One, okay? So what we are emulating from China, for instance, how is it influencing our culture? I want someone to tell me why my relatives in Zambia should learn Chinese. For what purpose? To go where? We are not moving to China. Zambia is not migrating to China. China is not migrating into Zambia. We have a lot of economic deals with many countries. Number two, all the languages will now be in our schools because we are borrowing money from everywhere. No, it's not how it's working. We are giving away our own culture. And philosophers say, when you want to undo someone's identity, you have to take away their culture and history so that they don't know where they're coming from. And this is what we're doing to these innocent children in schools. They did not ask for Chinese. It's already hard to pass English. It's not easy. Why are you bringing it into Fialembo? Who is interested? Who is interested in that complicated? How can you even do Pythagoras theorem? I don't. What are we doing to ourselves? God left us this earth. God left us Zambia to manage it. Okay, and it's biblical. We can speak in our own tongue. The tongues are biblical. So I'm at pains. We don't have a shortage. Just like even on the economy, we have the God, everything, but we keep borrowing.
We've got
okay. Now we have gone to a point of borrowing a language.
We've got like 72 languages.
Which Zambian said out of 72 languages, no, we are okay with our 72 languages. If someone wants to come in our bedroom and squat in our bedroom, they should speak our language. Now, look at this. Somebody comes from abroad, come in your house and teach you their language. Kuri mulendo amene amabwera mu nyumba mwako na kukukambisa chitundu chako iwe uchinje ukambe chitundu chake mulendo mu nyumba mwanga abwera aniyambofunza chitundu chake. No, please, forgive me. Please forgive me. I just can't understand what we're doing to our children. I just can't understand what are our children. You people, what are we doing to ourselves?
Hello.
Mr. Moon, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Yes. What's your contribution, sir? Yeah.
Yes, I was just waiting for the brother to. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you. Hello, everybody. No, I thought I had to take the time today and first and foremost, thank you, Lily. Yes, I'm good. I'm doing great.
Welcome.
Yeah. I wanted to thank you first and foremost for having provided this platform where we can meet as Zambians, both at home and abroad, to discuss, the issues that affecting our country. I have been discreet. I have to admit, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm a politician in Sweden, so I will. I will try.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, I am a politician. I sit in the mayor's office here.
Ooh, we've got a man in this house. Wow.
So, anyway, Lily, the challenges that Zambians are facing at this moment as regards the Chinese, there are really deep and serious issues. I have to give you an example. I was here, the problem at the moment is that you are fighting a system that even us ourselves in Sweden, we are not able to fight. Not long ago, the Chinese ambassador in Sweden warned the Swedish government.
Oh, really?
We were warned simply because we spoke against the Chinese government and their treatment of citizens who have like dual citizenships, Sweden and China. It's the same thing happening with Germany. It's the same thing happening with Australia. It's the same thing happening with any other country that is standing up to China. Now, in the case of Zambia, I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, the elections coming next year, our country is at the crossroads. It's at the crossroads. If we are not able to pull this off, if we are not able to pull our energies, our strengths together and do something to remove the current leadership, we are in trouble. We're in trouble. I don't know. I just saw you mentioned some of the fees that have been introduced for candidates, presidential candidates, parliamentarians, and the like. They are doing all these things not because they themselves have the means to pay those fees. It's because China is going to pay for those fees.
Exactly.
So we have a strong enemy that we are fighting. I'm stating my points personally, how I feel. And I think I have to let you know that this is the standpoint of most politicians, even in Sweden. But even we, we are biting our tongues whenever we have to speak about China. Currently, the Australian economy is in shambles. Why? Because they spoke against China. They have been punished.
Yes. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They have been punished. Now, what can we as a country, Zambia, what can we do? We have only ourselves. So I'm saying, what can we do collectively to put together the efforts, both at home and abroad? Because we know the governments, they are going as far, you just mentioned, was it yesterday? They are going as far as enticing the preachers, our religious representatives to force the so-called Bhutan. And why is it that they are so desperate to get this reform through? Because it does not in any way represent the wishes of the Zambian people. It doesn't at all.
No.
So who does it benefit? They are not telling the people, they are saying all the time, you have to reach out to us. You have to come to the, dialogue and talk to us about, whatever issues that you have. But why should the citizens force government to come to the table to discuss pressing matters?
Imagine.
We normally don't do that. In this country, we don't do that. We have platforms. In any area where I stay, we have platforms for the citizens. Whenever we are about to make a decision, we call the citizens to come in and discuss. It doesn't matter if it has to do just putting down, wireless telecommunication. If it has to do with raising fees for buses, it doesn't matter. There are no small issues. That's because every decision you make in politics, they affect the common man. But the government in Zambia, they expect people to go to the government to force them, to force things out of their mouths that their citizens have a right to know. And whoever speaks against them, they call them fools and disgruntled youths, and so on and so forth. I'll just briefly tell you, just not long ago, I had a group of guys I was telling that I wanted them to go to Zambia, and look at the investment potentials. And behind my back, they were looking at the issues that are currently taking place in Zambia, and they were thinking that I wanted, to take their money. And these are my friends. Because they felt that the environment in Zambia is not healthy for investment. So I don't feel that way. I am willing to take that step. So what went wrong? What went wrong? From a country that was represented to be one of the, peaceful nations in Africa, to a country that is, threatening its citizens simply by using their democratic rights to criticize pressing matters that are affecting them. What is happening in Zambia? What is happening?
It's scary, sir. And when I posted this on my Facebook, some people were saying, no, we should accept Chinese because it would be of great benefit to learn Chinese. And I'm like, it's okay, you can learn, but it shouldn't be compulsory.
No.
It shouldn't be compulsory that you learn Chinese. Yeah. But then an exam as well that people are writing. You can learn the language, but do we have to write an exam? Because what we don't want is to find ourselves in a situation whereby our children are learning Chinese, and then in order for them to get a job, they need to have a certificate in Chinese. No, because that's where we're going to head to. Be careful.
No.
So we don't want that. Banalindi, how are you? Thank you so much, sir, for your contribution. You can stay there for a bit. Banalindi, how are you? Banalindi. Banalindi, how are you? We can't hear you. Vanalindi, your volume is muted.
Hello?
Who else is here? Joanne, can you try?
Hi, Lily.
Oh,
Hi,
yes,
Lily.
Joanne is back now.
Can you hear
Thank
me?
you.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Yeah, we can
Hi.
hear you. Vanalindi, it's okay. Let Joanne speak because Joanne was the first guest I had, the first ever, and then he had a problem with volume, sound. Okay, go
Hi.
ahead, Joanne. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you. Okay, I've got a number of concerns. It's
Yeah.
hurting. Yeah, it's hurting. I'm telling you. First and foremost, life is a barter system. That's one thing I believe. Life is a barter system. You can never allow a neighbor, by virtue of either their strength in society, their potential, to come in your house. Then they force your family, including yourself, to start speaking their language, when in the actual sense they are not ready to learn your language. What does that imply? It is an indirect way of slavery. The reason, yeah, the reason to why this is being advocated, which is sadly in that our leaders cannot see it. It is an indirect way of the Chinese government coming into Zambia and make us as slaves. One thing that we need to know is why should somebody force another person to learn their language? It is for one reason. If it's for one reason, if I employ you, I should have the ability to communicate with you as my slave. In Zambia, this is one thing that I always complain from our forefathers to date. We are taught that when you go to school, you should put on a white collar job for you to work for another. Who's that another? It is either the whites or the Chinese. Why are our parents able to push us in that direction? Because they believe we can only make it when we are slaves. Because, you know, in some way, employment is slavery. So why is Chinese imposing a language on us as Zambians? It's because they know what they've done with the government, so that when we learn their languages, it will be very easy for them to communicate with us as slaves while we are working for them as slaves, which doesn't make sense. It is so sad in a situation where you even find a lot of youths in Zambia, instead of standing against this, we are saying they are a superpower. It doesn't matter where they are a superpower. You see that in your home, you are a superpower. You only become less of a superpower when you let another person who's your neighbor dominate your family, dominate your house. At the end of it, or because they've gotten into your home, they're able to impose of what should happen in your home. One, they'll end up taking your wife away from you, your children away from you, even you yourself as the husband. That is the reality. And why should we let that happen to us Zambians right on our nose? It doesn't make sense. We are not there. Whatever decision our government are making with the Chinese, we shouldn't be victims. That's why I keep saying the strength of the Zambian person or youth rise in the ballot. Can we register as many people as we can, so that on that day, that is our liberation. We need to be liberated from this slavery. It is so painful, to be honest with you, because at the moment, there are a lot of, Zambia, I always say Zambia is not free. We are still under slavery. Slavery, yes, slavery from the oppression of our forefathers, our leaders. We are still being, undergoing slavery. We are still going through poverty slavery. We are not liberated as Zambia. The situation is terrible. That's why it should take integrity of a youth to see beyond what is happening on our nose, not just busy defending either you are a beneficiary of the current system or you are not. Because the question that you should ask yourself is, what happens tomorrow? Does our children have a future tomorrow? In as much as one person can manage, it doesn't mean that guard who's in that compound can manage the current situation. Look at the school fees at the moment. Just at UNZA, just at UNZA yearly, if you are doing distance, you are not going to pay anything less than 17,000 kwacha. Can a guard who's getting less than 1,000 kwacha manage to raise that much for a child? Education now has become for it's for the rich. It's not for a poor person. So it doesn't make sense. Secondly, with regard to presidential fees, what I'm saying is that should not worry a Zambian. Whether they increase the fees so that it benefits them or not, our goal is we need change. We voted, there was a protest vote when PF came into power. Even right now, we need a protest vote because it's affecting everyone. Secondly, that protest vote also prevent the current situation of the Chinese dominance. We are not going to let the Chinese dominate. We've had situations at some point where we could see how Chinese are treating our police officers in uniform. We've seen that before with our own eyes. A Chinese person slaps a police officer, a Zambian police officer, and we all wonder, and that guy drives away. We are seeing these things are happening. You see that? It does not make sense. We need to liberate ourselves. We need freedom. We need a free Zambia. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have Vanalindi. Are you on, please? Vanalindi, are you on?
Yes,
or
I
Michael?
am, Lily. Thank you so much. I am going.
Okay, yeah.
Can you
All
hear
right.
me, Lily?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, carry on.
Okay, I'm going to keep this. I'll keep this very brief because I'm aware that there's a lot of people that want to contribute. And when I finish, I'm going to log out here and I'll join you on your YouTube channel. What I wanted to contribute was that the problem we have as Zambians is that we still have that colonial mentality. We are still waiting for a savior to come and save us, to save our economy, to give us the good jobs, the good life that we wish for. We're still waiting for this savior to give us that utopia, But guess what, people? Nobody is coming to save the black man apart from the black man himself. If you look around you, every race has been racist towards you, the black person. Talk about the white person. Talk about the Indian person. Talk about the indigenous Red Indians of America. Yes, we were enslaved by them as well. Talk about the Chinese. Talk about the Arabs. That's why the Libyans are so cruel to our fellow brothers and sisters who are employed by them. Every single race has been racist towards us because as a black person, we have not realized the value that we have on ourselves. And I believe I think it should be Booker T, who said, until the black man realizes value, no one will ever have any respect for him, nor value him as a human. So now, here we are, Zambia. How many years after independence? We are still waiting on this savior to come. And the minute China gives us a bit of teeth, borrows our government money, we think China is our best friend. But guess what? That money was given to us with an interior motive to take over the country. And what do? We give them benefits that they do not accord to us in their own country. You go to China right now, they will not give you a citizenship based on the fact that none of your parents are Chinese by birth or origin. It doesn't matter. You stay there 30 years, 50 years, 60 years. It doesn't matter. You will never get that citizenship. But Zambia, what are we doing? We have given them citizenship. Right now, they're rocking up with green NRSCs with stroke 1 on them. They can buy land. They can buy property. You understand? We have given them so much power that they don't give to us. And we are so easily influenced, so easily controlled because of the colonial mentality that we have. They can twist us and bend us any which way to a point where they knock out our own indigenous languages from being learned in our schools and replace it with their language. Do you understand what it means to lose your culture? Do you understand 50 years from now that our children will have no trace of their roots? Just like if I ask you right now to say, what was Africa before it was enslaved or colonized? You have no clue. Why? Because we've lost that history. And slowly, that is what is going to start happening in Zambia. Our children will lose their history and they'll become nothing. When you are nothing, you will have no values. You will have no sense of self. And when you don't have sense of self, you absorb anything that is around you. Now, remember that the Chinese are racist towards us Zambians or Black people, right? You will never be part of that either. So when you lose your culture, what are you? A slave. So to the people that are saying, it's a good thing to learn their language, after all, we have learned English, we have learned French. What is the difference? Well, the difference is we are awake now. What has French or English benefited us as a Zambian people? Are we still not at the same pace? Have we found our utopia? No. So of what benefit, of what, or what huge difference will Chinese make to us Zambians now? Nothing. You know what, my people? You need to understand that these people do not mean good for the Black race. And the Black race only has itself to save. We need as Africa to wake up and come together. This is what Gaddafi was trying to get across to all of us Africans, and that's why he had to be eliminated. There is so much power. The most powerful nation in the world fears is Black unity. Because we as a Black people, we have the money, believe it or not. The majority consumers of the world are the Black people because we do not invest, we consume. So everyone is after our money. Everyone is after our resources. Imagine if we turned around and said, we'll practice like the Jews and only invest in our communities and only buy from our people. How much wealthier we will be? But the problem is we don't believe in ourselves because we don't value ourselves. We hate ourselves because we don't have any history of ourselves before we were slaves or colonized. We need to wake up, people. This is the time. If we don't change now, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and the future to come will be in exactly the same place that our ancestors who were colonized and enslaved were. And this time around, the shackles will not come off because we invited it in. With our own hands, we unlocked the door and let these people come in and take over. Mukwai na pela, na totera mukwai.
Any contribution?
Well, gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm happy to see familiar faces. I was out briefly away. I always go out and do my fishing for the summer, so I just came back from fishing. Yeah. Now, gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I keep hearing myself repetitively, so that's why I'm getting confused. But if you can hear me, I can proceed.
We are able to get you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. And now there are a couple of interesting things that I'm hearing. Of course, I have been away from Zambia now. This is soon 19 years since I left Zambia. So a lot of things have happened. I've seen, of course, the transition of several leaders. I was excited when we had Michael Sata, when he was voted into power for one reason or another. I was extremely excited to see that face in office. I was both excited and nervous because of his character. But I believed that we had a future in that administration because of the legacy that he had and the team that he had behind him. You know, the former Vice President Guy Scott. I saw that we were doing something new and the future for Zambia was actually bright. Now, the coming into the picture of our current leader in Zambia, Mr. Edgar Lungu, is a story on its own. I think we are sometimes naive in our being kind-hearted as Zambians. That is the character anybody will give anybody I meet here from who has passed through Zambia. They will always say Zambians are peaceful and kind people, and it's true, and it is true. But at the same time, now we are locked in a situation where we have administrations that are using our very kind-hearted character to trample on top of us. We have a nation that proclaims to be a Christian nation, but in reality, they are doing the exact opposite. So we have people in leadership who are actually willing to take up the fight and challenge these foreigners who are currently in our nation and ill-treating the Zambian citizens. We saw what happened with the mayor in Lusaka. And we have, you know, the provincial minister in Lusaka, Mr. Lusembo, what he's doing. That is not a character of a person who is voted into office. That is not how you behave towards your citizens. You know, you don't gather people who are simply going to buy food to survive, to make it their day. I saw a video of him, you know, commanding Zambians to sit on the floor in a store simply because they were there to buy meal. You know, you have to see the act behind the act. Nobody wants another person to go hungry if they don't have to. There's one thing that I've always seen, you know, when somebody doesn't, if you do not have food for the day, do you have time to think of how your neighbor has it when it comes to the same? I mean, your stomach is telling you to give it food. Are you going to think of your neighbor who is also fighting to do the same? I'm telling you, brother. These things that it's not a philosophical thing. These are needs. These are things that we should have done away with many years ago. We are in 51 years after independence, and we are still struggling to speak out. You know, sometimes you want to lose something you do not have. If we had freedom, nobody would have threatened us to speak. Zambians currently, they are frightened. They don't want to speak, some of them, because they will be threatened to do what they have no right, but you know, they don't have the right because they never earn the right. in a democratic system in this country where I stay, it's not about, having the European, mentality or anything. It's that in a democratic system, of course, democracies differ. I have to also consider our cultural aspect of our society. There's that part in our society. But at the same time, when you hear citizens in the nation referring to their president as my father, that is wrong. A politician is not your father. The political arena has no fathers and mothers. You have leaders. And what is the character that defines a leader? A leader should be able to see what the masses are not able to see. If you are a leader and everybody can see what you are able to see, how can you lead them? Our current leader, Mr. Lungu, was saying, I have no vision other than that of the late Mr. Michael Sata. And everybody was shouting, yes, yes. Now we see what has happened to our country. Our country in dire straits. We simply are fighting for things that we democratically have a right to speak, to give checks and balances to the current administration, to tell them when they are doing wrong, to pinpoint the errors of certain officials in the administration. That is what I heard. That is what I heard from the musicians. That is what I have heard from you, gentlemen. You are not saying you have anything against the administration, but you totally disagree with their methods of leadership. Is that wrong? It's not wrong at all. But because of that, people have been threatened. Even the very party in power, they are mobilizing other youths to threaten other youths to cause division and confusion in a country. The Chinese people or the Chinese companies in Zambia have an agenda. What is the government's agenda towards the Chinese government? What is their agenda? What do they have on the table? Because we are hearing rumors, which in effect might be, of course, not rumors. We are talking about the gold mines that we are currently being, learning about. We are talking about mischievous funds that have been pumped into officials' accounts. All these things, even the president himself, he mentioned it in that, recording that we had. So he is aware. And what is he doing about it? Why is it that there's anybody among the citizens in Zambia today who believes Mr. Lungu deserves a second chance? What is he going to do that he has not done already? If Zambians are being forced to learn Chinese, gentlemen, you will be learning Cantonese. In Zambia, 50 years after independence, somebody says Chinese should be compulsory in the Zambian educational system. I would rather learn another local language in order to better my communication with another fellow brother within our own nation. We are a diverse country. If I speak Bemba, maybe I might want to speak Tonga or Nyanja or something like that. Why should I speak Cantonese? And any official today who is trying to convince the Zambians that that is the norm. Chinese, there's nothing wrong. You have already mentioned it, but it has to be optional. Anybody who wants to learn Chinese might choose to learn Chinese, but it should never become part of the educational curriculum in Zambia. It has no plus. There's nothing you gain by having that language in our system. It's like the sister just mentioned not long ago that the problem now is that before we had people who forced slavery onto us. Unfortunately, now we have a leadership that has invited enslavement within our borders. Now we have Chinese. The Chinese who are forcibly, locking Zambian citizens into containers and nobody speaks out. The president has not said a single word on those events. Not one. The only thing he mentioned when he had this gathering and everybody was chanting was to say, we have a group of youths who are trying to cause confusion. Which youths? So now Zambia is slowly becoming a country that is more like China. When you criticize the administration, you are threatened to silence. In actual fact, from what we are learning, the bulletin in itself is the very thing they are going to use for this administration to remain in power. If what we are hearing, the context of this new bill, if it is true, PF will remain in power for as long as they want. Why do we want to go back? Is it acceptable, ladies and gentlemen? Is it acceptable for Zambians today with so much wealth and resources that we have to suffer this much? I know from personal experience, we have companies there. We have Sandvik, we have Atlas Copco. We have big companies in Zambia today, and I know the kind of money we are making from Zambia. I'm not trying to defend. I know the kind of money that is coming out from Zambia. So if there's anybody who really wants to change the landscape of our political system, then I have to turn to you gentlemen on this video. I want to campaign for somebody from this audience, or somebody whom you think is the right character to carry the banner of our country forward. There's nobody there. Mr. Lungo and the like. There's nobody there. Yeah. Why is it that you gentlemen, I don't know if you are all in Zambia or we are all living outside Zambia. Is there anybody living in Zambia?
We'll chat that later.
Eh? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking at the future of Zambia. Even myself, I feel bad because I've been working tirelessly during this crisis when we had COVID-19. I organized efforts. Nobody above the age of 55 left their apartments within my municipality, or you say your area like Mufrila, but they received everything they wanted home. They had water, they had food, they had everything. We have our failures because of our unorthodox approach. We did not lock down the country, but nobody is crying for that. But how do you tell your citizens to remain indoors if you cannot give them food? How do you tell somebody to remain indoors without giving them the means to eat, to survive? Is that human? Is that Christian? Sweden is not a Christian nation, gentlemen. But if you meet a child, you meet any stranger on the streets and they're going without shoes, you stop, you buy them shoes, and you proceed. Why is it a country that is, built on Christian values? Why are we not able to do these things? You are my hope. We should, unfortunately, I have to apply for dual citizenship again. And if they see me talking like this, I don't know if I'll get it, but I'll make an attempt. So, because where are we going to turn? I can only turn to you, and I can only, through my contacts, make the necessary, things for you to take a step forward. I personally am tied by the Swedish Constitution. I cannot act on my own accord.
Yeah, that's why we need the support from everyone around to advocate for change. There is dire need of a change here in Zambia. Looking at what is happening at the moment, things are not as they are supposed to be. When you look at most people, even the politicians, you may think Zambia is okay, but go right on the underground, you see how people are suffering. That's where you see how bad the situation is. I've never seen, I've been to other countries. When you look at street kids, there are a lot of street kids here in Zambia. You would even feel so sad. Not even any prominent politician would stop and give food to a street kid. It doesn't happen here in Zambia. So it's a sad situation. It's a sad situation. That's why at times you tend to wonder, why is it that our leaders are forcing their way to staying in power? Is it because of a lot of words that we've heard from them being advocated, kwibira for the future? Now, if you steal for the future, what are you leaving for the grassroots? You are totally leaving nothing. The situation is unbearable. It's unbearable.
Well, I don't know if you're done, but I'll take advantage of the silence. Yeah, so I'm going to quote the words of Abraham Lincoln, okay? One of the most pronounced presidents in the United States, who lost 10 elections before he became president, a son of a shoemaker. He said, "We, the people, are the true custodians of our Constitution, and we, the people, will stand firm and defend our Constitution from men and women that are willing to subvert our will with impunity." So, in any formation, in any institution, in any gathering where there's leadership, okay, the importance of leadership is appreciated in the empowerment and the freedom of the people you are leading. It's not about you, the leader. It's about the people. And this is biblical, okay? Go in the Bible. There is no miracle that Jesus performed that was centered on solving spiritual problems. All miracles that Jesus performed were to solve social problems. And when Jesus, ascended, he left us this world to solve our problems. There's no free lunch. So is no manna from heaven. So we, the people that are living now, the mantle is in our hands to shape what kind of country that we want for ourselves and for the next generation. There's nobody that will do it for us. Now, from what I see, it appears like we have left it in the hands of China to decide our destiny, to decide our wealth, to decide our economy, to decide our culture, to decide our identity. Why am I saying these things? I'll produce you the evidence. There's language being taught in school called Chinese. Why are we not teaching Koya? Why are we not teaching Ichitumbuka everywhere? We have 72 languages. We are not short for. And language is a medium of communication. And being a medium of communication, it's also a medium of culture. Because when we communicate as a nation, we show what our identity is, what our ideologies are. From our diversity, we come together and become one nation. And when I spoke earlier, I spoke quite a lot about language. I'm not against the Chinese. So am I not against any other culture or any other nationality? They can do what they want in their country. It's fine. What we're doing here is a transaction. Okay, if we are borrowing money from China, it's a transaction. It's not a cultural change. No, we get $1 billion from you. We will pay it back as Zambia, but it shouldn't come with changing our culture, because we have deals with other countries like France, Spain. So are we going to start learning Spanish, Brazilian, Portuguese, because we are you're lending us money? Is that a condition anyway? Does it even exist in an imaginary thought? No. So in everything that you do, what's the purpose? What's your intention? So you are learning, okay, you are teaching Chinese in our school. I just want you to know, what are you trying to achieve? When you go to Pick and Pay or to Soweto to buy carpenter, what are you trying to achieve? You need to have an achievement. So why are we learning Chinese? For what? I'm not saying we shouldn't, okay, but if you want to learn Chinese, go and Google. Go on Google and internet and learn for yourself, because you have interest to go and live in China, but don't force it on. Look, even a human right, when you force a human right on people, it's no longer a human right. Okay, it becomes a rule. Okay, because the human rights are inherent, they're inborn. We have the right to quality water, we have the right to decent housing, you have the right to life, Even being alive is a human right. Our freedoms are not negotiable, but it looks like now, even to have your freedom of speech is negotiable. You need to support someone to be able to speak. You have freedom of speech, but you not have freedom after speech. It's conditional now. It's no longer a freedom. It's a transaction. You need to agree with someone whether what you say or not is your freedom. Now, democracy is there because people need to appreciate the importance of leadership, not to worship the leadership, not to appreciate the importance of leadership. And like I was told, this topic is about language in Zambia. It's about voting. It's about elections. Now I'm going to talk about elections, and I'm not going to shut up. Why do we go to elections? An election is not a beauty contest of choosing Miss World who looks beautiful. No, it's a process. And as we speak in October, this process of an election is starting. It starts with voting, with registration. Because a lot of people think an election is casting a ballot. No, casting a ballot is not an election. An election is not an event. It's not an Independence Day. No, it's a process of coming up with the leadership that will move society to the spirit of what the people want. So even the 30 days that has been given, voting is a human right. To vote, it's a right. So why are you giving me 30 days of a human right? A human right is something I should live with for the rest of my life. So why give me 30 days to vote? There's a student from Zambia who is in Russia, who is in China, who is having mock exam, who is having a final exam in December. The university does not have in your contract you study to say you go to vote. They don't have that. So how are you going to go and register? There's a Zambian who is going to become of age to vote in November and in December and in March. You've denied them the right to vote. You did not ask them. Okay, so open the voting. Open the voting. And this 4 million target to register voters, which Zambians say the only 4 million want to vote. There's 18.3 million Zambians. And even if you take 50 plus 1 of Zambians, is 4 million 50 plus 1 of 18 million? No. Why? I want the ECZ to tell the Zambians why they can't register 15 million voters. Why? What is the reason? Which of the Zambians said no, only register 4 million of us, not 10? Why not 10 million? We need to be asking these questions. The ECZ is not a dictatorship, it's an institution. And an institution represents the people. So I want to know why only 4 million people, okay, let's say all 4 million people voted for one person. Are they representing 18 million? What is the percentage of 18 million if you take 4 million? Is that where you can generate leadership from 4 million people? So you're telling me that in Zambia, only 4 million people have the wisdom to tell 18 million people how the country should run? No. So ECZ, if they are lacking resources, these elections are funded mostly by outsiders. So if we want a better society, let's let half of the population speak. Let half of 18 million Zambians speak. We can't have the wisdom of 4 million people to dictate the wisdom of 18 million people. It can't work. Even mathematics, even mathematics will tell you to say it can't work. It can't. Let 10 million voters be registered. Let the voting system be open. Registering to vote is your human right. Voting is a human right. So why are you limiting it to 30 days? For what? ECZ, they're always dormant. What are they? Okay, if they register for 30 days between October 18 and November, wherever 30 days will be, what are they going to be doing for the rest of the 1 year before the election? So registering to vote is free. It's not so let them open it, especially for diaspora. We want to come and register. Because not every company is allowing anyone in the diaspora to come and register. Voting is not I don't know anybody in the diaspora in their condition of service who signed to say whenever Zambia wants to register to vote, I should go home. Nowhere. Zero. So why are you not letting the people enjoy their rights? In Shirapisha, I'm coming to an issue of the actual thing. What do you call this? The language. Very soon, if we are not careful, we will start having Chinese language on the ballot paper. This is where it's going. We need to prevent this problem. problem which is cooking in the pot.
Yeah.
So before Yanyeka ndio put it in the bin. Because Zambia twalikwata 72 languages. We have not complained. I've not heard any Zambian who are saying we have too many languages. I've never heard. I've never heard the Zambian who are saying we are short for languages. I've never heard. And these things are biblical. If you remember 12 days after the ascension of Jesus, people spoke in tongues. And we are gifted to have 72 tongues in diversity, but we are united in our diversity. And culture is the best wealth that you can ever show to any nation in the world. So as we are fighting, even this butane, I'm coming to this butane because this is where governance now is being compromised. Which Zambian is crying for butane? I want to know which Zambian is really okay. If butane is withdrawn tonight, does it mean Zambia will have 10 million coronavirus infections? No. Does it mean Zambia is going to have electricity tariff reduced? No. Is there any clause? This is a question I want to be on record. Is there any clause in butane which is in the interest of the Zambians? Any clause where I've not heard anyone saying this clause is in the interest of the Zambian. When we amend this clause, then the Zambians will benefit like this. Nothing. Okay? There's no clause. I want someone to challenge this sentence I've said here on record to come and say this clause will benefit the Zambia. Let me give you an example. The issue of having this proportional representation, look, a president in Zambia constitutionally has the right and the mandate to nominate 8 extra MPs after an election, not before, after an election. Okay? How many types of disabilities do we have in the world? They're not more than 5. They're not more than 6. You can put Umuntu Shiranda. You can nominate Umuntu Shumfwa. You can nominate a blind person. You can nominate a youth. You can nominate a retiree. You have 8. 8, not 2. 8. So why do you have to change the entire constitution when you have the right to nominate 8 people? Why not use what you are constitutionally provided for free? Why should you have to go through a constitution amendment process? Spend money, allowances, when Panado is needed at Challenge Clinic. And we need, this is why I'm saying, we need to change the mindset of our citizens to understand that when money is wasted on a useless process like butane, it is hindering you from having an MRI scan in Mongu District Hospital. There has to be a connection here. This connection is there, and it has to be noticed. To say when you buy a 1 million cost of a fire tender, no, what is a fire tender, you people? Each tank, if it's should cost 1 million. Is it a Boeing aircraft or an Airbus aircraft to carry passengers to Dubai? Each motor with a 10,000 liter tank should $1 million. Do you know what it can do? $1 million. Anyone here on the internet, Google, MRI scan, brand new, made by Tesla in the United States, is $3 million. So if you got that 42 million that you bought fire tenders, you'd have bought 14 brand new, the latest MRI scans, and every district, every provincial hospital in Zambia would have had 1 MRI brand new, plus 4 extra, which you don't know what to do with. But what do? They can't even move on those Chinese roads. So that's why I'm asking a question. What are we doing to our country? We are undoing our culture. We are killing our history. Our Burubandi won't say, I don't know if that Chinese is mandatory. Please let us campaign and it becomes option, so that those who move to China when they are running away from prisons, me, my relatives in Zambia, they shouldn't learn that language. I don't know what language that is. I don't know. Please, I don't know. I'm just really, please take me off. I don't know. It's just so frustrating. What we are doing to this country is so frustrating. We are killing our culture. We are killing the future of the country. Look, 220 kgs of gold was confiscated in an illegal mining. If you sell that, go on internet. If you sell that, it's over $6 million. and you only need the $3 million for the gold processing mine. Meaning, if you sold that 220 kilograms of gold, which is in custody right now, you can have 2 gold processing mining in Zambia. Meaning, you can have the capacity to pay off the debts. So why get $5 million to go and pay France to think for you? Ukulipira ama French, how to restructure a national debt. Are we a normal people?
Yes.
We are paying someone to think for us. Muchi French. They don't speak English in France. Official language in Zambia is English. You get $5 million in English, go and pay it to a French person to help you to think of how to pay a debt which you borrowed in Chinese. You people, are we caught up in a web of... Okay, really, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Thank you so much. Brother Felix, how are you? What would you like to contribute, Brother Felix?
Thank you. Good evening.
Yeah. Fine.
Yes, please. You can hear me?
Yes.
I'm very fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. My contribution this evening, when we are speaking about language, I remember doing one of the courses in second language acquisition. There is what we call, when we are learning a language, for example, in a state where it is governed by another language. For example, in Zambia, when you are speaking Chinese. Now, what leads for Zambia to adopt the language of Chinese? It's the same sentiment that people have been given in Zambia, have been following the discussion, and people have been saying, when people introduced French in Zambia, no one complained. Everybody was okay. Now, when another language is introduced in Zambia, everybody is complaining. Why are people complaining? And that's where all of us and the government should pay attention. What is it that Zambians are communicating when they are saying optional subjects? If Chinese is optional subject, no one will complain. But why are they making it compulsory? So people must ask such questions. The problem, if I continue, the problem that we have in Zambia is simply this. We have left politics for politicians, and we've become spectators in our country. So as long as the politician will decide what they think is right, for us, we will only act. We are proactive, not active. We just act on what is being said. Recently, there was a problem with the bicycles. On the social media, people are saying 700 bicycles, $700, and people are questioning, how can you buy a bicycle for $700? And one of the ministers there came to clarify, to say, no, it was not like that. The problem that we have on the part of the government is that they are not coming out to explain things the way they are doing them. Until they wait when there is a mistake, that's when they start now clarifying how it was done. And that's why you have these stipulations on the media now, people coming out to speak. People are talking about the idea of gold mine, right? Now, because who is in charge of that gold mine? Who is in charge? Also, we have forgotten there to mention emeralds. They have a special mineral in Zambia, in Copper Belt. No one talks about it. No one knows the profits they are making. And government is very quiet. Now, for me, if I suggest, for me, the solution to our problem is not changing the government. You put you choose, you put your Kalaba, or you put Akainde, without looking at the policies that we have now. If we can force this government to make light and good policies and force them to be accountable to the people voted for them, then we can have a new government with new policies. Otherwise, we'll vote in new government next year and the same system will continue. The Chinese, they are there to stay. They are not joking. What Chinese needs is a government who is serious with policies, agreeing this is what you want you to do, this is what you cannot do for us. Can you imagine a Chinese selling talk time in Zambia? A Chinese selling cutting hair, barber. And what will the Zambian people do? Now, that's what the problem is. Most of us will just sit around and do nothing. If a Chinese can cut hair, then what about me as an indigenous Zambia who is poor? What am I going to do? So I think all of us, we have a responsibility. Remember, I was even thinking, remember this, next year is elections, right? Now, I see comments, people say, they are saying, no, we are changing the government. This is Zambia. We don't change the government in that manner. We don't change. Why? It is because, look at the elections that we've had before. You see, PF is winning all the by-elections. They are still winning. So meaning, there is something that they are telling those people who are voting for them. So for us to put something in strongly, we must put them to account. What did you buy? What amount did you buy for fire tender, for example? What did you do in this area? Who is in charge of this? Once they fail to account for those, then people will rise against them. But otherwise, if you're not following them to account for what they are doing, it is really difficult to change. That one I can assure you, it is really difficult to change. Because most of the people who are campaigning for them, people who are standing for them, they are still with them and they are still hearing the conversation that the Zambian people are having. So for us, our challenge is to educate the masses. Make sure if the president, I don't know why they take weeks to answer any problem Zambia brings to the table. I don't understand. That is the weakness. So if we can make them be accountable and transparent, then we can begin to see change in our country, Zambia. Let the leaders explain why are they wasting time to answer questions. If we put such kind of policies, now, if we look at Bill 10, there are people who are saying, no, we want fair, the women 50%, men 50%, right? Now, if that is true, what kind of policies are they making now that will support that? Otherwise, it is just a story. Someone says something, another interpret it that way, differently. So all of us, our challenge really is to make this government accountable. If they fail to be accountable, then they need to leave. That is my contribution. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Carry on. African child.
Can you hear me?
Is it African child in China? Carry on.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
China.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm an African.
Is it
very
African
fine. How are
child
you?
in China? Yeah, how are you? Hi, thank you. Good to see you here.
Yeah, it's already 4 a.m. here in China. I should be sleeping actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I've been living in China for over 6 years now, and I can speak Chinese language very fluently. And I want to say that speaking Chinese language has benefited me a lot, because I can do these part-time jobs, and also many other things. When I graduated with my bachelor's here in China, I was selected as the best student in my class, and I was able to give a speech on graduation so I was a valedictorian. Yeah, so of all these of all these years I've lived in China, I've met all kinds of foreigners. I've got so many foreign friends even now. I think there are over 500 foreign friends within the city, but only a few can speak Chinese language very fluently. I'm one of those few. Why? Because Chinese language is very hard. I think it's the most, if not the second most hardest language in the world. So why are they going to introduce a very hard language to learn in Zambian schools as a mandatory subject? Why are they going to do that? Why should they do that? I think they should not do that. If they are going to introduce Chinese language, then it should be optional. If they make it mandatory, then Zambian students are going to have to spend a lot of time studying this language just to pass the exam. And we don't need this now. What if they are going to introduce any if they are going to introduce any new subjects to our education system, those subjects should be high-level mathematics and programming. If students are going to work hard on learning new things, these are the two things that they need to introduce: high-level mathematics and programming, and not another language. No, we do not need that. So if anybody is going to learn it, it should be optional. Even after living in China for 6 years, even though many people who meet me tell me that my Chinese is very good, even Chinese people themselves, they praise me and say my Chinese language is very good. But I personally, I know that even now I'm still struggling. There's still many things I don't understand. This language is very complicated. Yeah.
Wow.
And now, on the part of treating, on the part of about how you should treat the Chinese people in Zambia. Personally, here, living in as an African living here, I know everybody knows. In any place around the world, there are racist people against Black people in general. And I think I grew up thinking that white people were racist, and all the other races they were also victims like us. But after living in Asia, I would say that the most racist people against Black people are: one, the Indians; two, the East Asians, the Chinese, the Koreans, the Japanese, and the white people come, I don't know, third, or it's either they are also second or third, somewhere there. So all the other races, they are just as racist against Black people. We Black people are the most hated people in this world. And it's not only the Chinese or the Indians, or pretty much every other race is racist against Black people. So if you see foreigners coming there to Zambia to do whatever business or to be investors, they are not coming there to help us. They are coming there to help themselves.
Yeah.
So you should make sure that whatever investment, so we need to make sure that whatever investment they are making, whatever business that they are doing, we the Zambians are benefiting more than they are. You know, here in China, if you're going to start a business as a foreigner, I can give you an example of this American company, Tesla. This American company just opened a factory in Shanghai just a few months ago. They were forced to give up some of their technological secrets to a Chinese company for them to set up a factory in China. So a few years from now, a few months from now, there's going to be another Chinese company is going to be able to make their own electric cars that are going to rival Tesla. Why? Because when Tesla came to China, they were given very tough conditions by the Chinese government. And some of those conditions were that they should give up part of their technology to China. So this is how they deal with foreign investors in China.
Imagine.
The one who's benefiting more is a Chinese. And as for me, you see, I'm a student right here. I'm a dormitory right now in campus. But within this campus, there are some buildings that I cannot go as a foreigner. No, just a few blocks away from here, there is a building where I do my research. Yeah, just a few blocks away, there is a building where I do my research. And next to that building, there's another building where they go there? Because they say there are some national secrets that they want to keep away from foreigners in there. I cannot go there, and I'm a student in this university. But why is it that Zambians allow foreigners to be policemen in your own country? Who does that? Come on, Africans, are we still that stupid?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I need to come in again. I'll be calm this time. I'll be calm, I promise. So, I'm just thinking to the kind of Zambia.
Fine. That's why we're here.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the kind of Zambia that we want. So, what we've got from China is money. Okay, Ningo Ongole is the only thing to China, which from my knowledge, it's only money, it's a debt. Ningo Ongole. Now, like I said, everything that everyone needs to manufacture anything is in Africa. And Zambia, I'll tell you for free, we have the best emeralds in the world. We have copper as the 5th largest producer. We've got 40% of water in SADC, which is 1/3 of water in the entire Africa. In Zambia, inland, not shared with anyone. Okay, we've got a lot of sunshine to alleviate, load shedding. So what we are dealing with here is a mindset problem. We are dealing with a problem that is not curing the actual problems. Okay, so we're talking about butane, for instance. It's not curing load shedding because on a daily basis, there's no Zambian that is worried about to change the constitution right now. A Zambian is worried about how much consumption the ZESCO bills are affecting the Zambian people. And this was a debate all over in public domain. Okay, a Zambian right now is worried about, a farmer in Zambia is worried about the price of fertilizer against how many bags of maize they'll produce. Those are the issues we are not addressing. And because of the division that we have amongst ourselves, countries like China and any other country have taken advantage of it. Because when you are divided, you fall. And when you are falling, you need someone else to pick you up. If you don't pick yourselves up. But China, look, China is not a Christian nation, but I'll tell you for free. They made a vow that they are going to produce billionaires in China. Okay, billionaires. And China has billionaires. So when we are talking about these foreign investors, the question is, who told us we cannot have our own investors? Because I'll still refer to...
That's a good question.
No, what I want people to understand is that we are dealing with a mindset issue. It's not the money issue. Even if today you get 100 billion, you give Zambia, before the next election, they'll tell you, Shari Kwempia. The treasury has no money. So the issue is not the money. The issue is we believing in ourselves that we can stand and produce for ourselves. This is biblical. God blesses the hands that produce from their works. Now, going forward, because we are not going in reverse. We are not going back to problems. We are solving problems going forward. Changing government for the sake of changing government is not what we are looking for. But what we are looking for is, because the problem is we've been wanting to see development and not transformation. Okay? When you build a road in Chibodia and the people of Chibodia don't have a flushing toilet, that is not civilization. Okay? We can't have a capital city. In 56 years after independence, we have a capital city where omuntu afuma bedroom where sunda ubushiku in a toilet outside. In a capital city, in Lusaka. You know, these are things which are quite embarrassing to say, but look, these are human needs. You need human decency. Okay, decency is something that God created us for. So what we are doing to ourselves is we have moved from real issues. We are handling man-made issues, such as butane. Me, I want someone to, butane pena, I'm not going to shut up. Why? Because if butane, it is going to become a refuge. Not just China, any country that can strike a deal with whoever is ruling, whoever is in power, will take over the culture, the identity, and the integrity of all Zambians, 18.3 million. Why? Because it's taking away the voice, the representation of the voice, and I'll tell you how. Look at right now where we are. Butane wants to take away the right of parliament to supersede over debt contraction. It wants to take away the right of the Bank of Zambia to supersede over monetary policy. It wants to take away the right of chiefs to vote themselves. It wants to take away the right to delimitation. And what do I mean here? Okay, the executive can wake up, Milo, around that. Oh, where are our strongholds? It doesn't matter who is in power. I'm not even talking about the current government. Anyone, even Tayari tomorrow, Muriokera wins, you come up and say, oh, in my strongholds, I want to create 200 constituencies, to have 200 MPs. So whether UPND or some opposition, they can't make 2/3. I'll have 2/3 majority. What does it want? The issue of Christian nation is the issue that has become very ambiguous here, where people are being brainwashed, people are being misled. Now, we don't have to be legally a Christian nation, because being a Christian or following a religion is not an issue of legality. It's an issue of personal choice. It's a belief. So you cannot legalize a belief. No, then it's no longer a belief. It becomes a law. Now, where is Christianity a law? Anywhere, even in the Bible. To be Christian is not a law. It's not subject to the judiciary. It's a personal choice. And you tell me, ever since we became a Christian nation in 1991, things have become worse. Dunlop is no longer manufacturing. Colgate Palmolive balireko kupanga. Ama Tropical tatupanga. Fiance tatupanga. Why am I saying this? Everything in this world is bordered on the economy. The economy dictates the culture of the people. Poverty, even biologically, when a child is developing up to the age of 7, it's the rapid development of the brain. And if you deny them nutrition in that period, their IQ will be affected forever. It will take too much work to educate them. And what's our nutritional policy in Zambia? People in Zambia, because we have moved our stomach into our brain, and I don't know where we have taken our brain. Okay, I'm not speaking to insult. It's teaching. We need to cure the economy in Zambia. The problem is the economy, okay, and equality. Let's cure the economy. Even a pastor in church to have enough offering, people should be able to earn more money and have enough disposable income to give you more tithe and offering. These things are connected. They don't work in isolation. Even Jesus, when he was on earth, he did not cure that man who was 40 years crippled outside the temple just for spiritual reasons. No, he made them whole so that he can go and work the land and earn for himself. Okay, so whatever miracle Jesus performed, I always refer to the Bible. It was not for spiritual reasons. It was for socio-economic reasons, so that you have the independence to work for yourself. The reason why Jesus died for our sins is so that we ourselves, we have the autonomy over creation to decide what kind of a world we need. So this Zambia that we have two things. It's either we mismanage it or we manage it well. Anything in life, it's either you manage it or you mismanage it. If you have a problem, you manage it well, you come out of it. If you have wealth, you mismanage it, you become poor. So there's no vacuum of spirituality here. The Bible says, as man thinketh, so is he. So we are going to think of a better Zambia we want. Jesus is not going to think for us. We are going to think because he gave us this world to manage. So I'm worried what kind of a Zambia we want. We want a kind of constitution which tells you, you retire, you've worked hard, you've contributed to the economy, you've contributed to the country's wealth and welfare, and then someone, look, there are only 156 MPs in parliament. They cannot dictate the spirit of 18.3 million Zambian people in a wrong way. No, they can't do that. You are not voted in power to do whatever you want. You are a servant of the people, and the people are your master. So you need to respect the Zambian people, not the Chinese people. The Chinese people did not vote for anyone in Zambia. Okay, they only struck a contract or a deal with you. That's all. And that's a transaction. We are not going to be bound to a transaction and kill our culture, kill our language, kill our spirit. No, we want a Zambia that we are going to hand over to the next generation so that 50 years from now, and let me tell you something, China has more than 2 billion people. Get this correct. More than 2 billion people. They can wipe out the population of Zambia to refer less than 20 million. They can wipe out all of us and get 20 million prisoners, not decent people, prisoners. In China, there are prisoners who are engineers. In China, if you design a building as an architect, you are going to jail for life. If you go to China, they can get that prisoner in China, an architect, to design another Findecos in Zambia. If it were to development, no, we don't need development. We need the transformation of our mind. To appreciate the God that we have in Minunga there. We need the transformation of our mind to appreciate the 40% of water we have in Sadik so that we can. Is it Lesotho or Swaziland which exports water? Amen. They export water.
How do we get all those things? That's the question.
How we get that thing is to communicate because the freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a freedom, and freedoms and human rights are the fundamentals of democracy. Even a grade 9 in civics will tell you fundamentals of democracy are bordered on rights and freedoms. It doesn't matter how many roads you build. If you can't communicate, you can't speak your opinion, you are not free. Because the best expression of freedom is to speak your thought. According to Article 23 and Article 2 of the Constitution, you're even in church.
My brother,
for you to communicate to God, it's expression. You are praying to God. You are expressing yourself. Lesser, therefore, lesser, therefore, I need a wife. Lesser, I need a car. That is communication. It's your freedom given by God. So it cannot be dictated to you when to speak, how to speak. No, it's your freedom. So freedoms and rights are not negotiable. They are inherent. They are a birthright. And as long as you have these two, freedoms and rights, then you have democracy. It doesn't matter how many roads you give people. It doesn't matter how many clinics you build. If people cannot, why are you building a clinic if I need a school? Because I don't have the freedom to tell you whether I need a clinic or a school. You are just giving it to me. So we don't need development. We need transformation. We need to transform our minds. Development does not take people anywhere, but transformation improves people at human index level. So you cannot go to Chivoria and give me a road, but I still go in a pit latrine. I'm not civilized. I need a flushing toilet in Chivoria. Give it to me. Give me the platform to do it. And this is what these people like China, whatever, are doing. Lending us money is not a favor. It's a transaction. Understand this. If I lend you money, it's a transaction. I'm not doing you a favor. I need interest. Okay, because money is a product. I'm selling it to you, and you need to give me back the interest in return as a customer. So there is no lender in the world who does favor to Africa. Everyone wants to see Africa remain no factories, no production, no anything in terms of industry, so that you remain a customer and they look at you as a primitive consumer. They can control your mind and what you consume, so that you consume what you don't produce and you produce what you don't consume. Tell me this. You produce copper, you buy back spoons. You have mukula tree, you are buying toothpicks. Na toothpick tizikangwa kupanga toothpick 50 years after independence. There's no factory in Zambia that can make a toothpick.
We can't manage.
No. Go to Boseko Market. Go to Boseko Market and ask those carpenters if they can't make a toothpick. They can make a sofa, but why can't I make a toothpick?
Problem. You know the problem we have. The problem we have.
Paolo, yes. What do you want to say, Paolo?
Yes. Thank you. Good evening, first. I didn't even say hi. How are you, Lily? And my colleagues.
Fine, thank you.
Fine.
Yes. You know, the problem that we have, especially in Zambia, we have a very bad readership. Readership, that's what matters most. You find that as citizens, ekyo tulanda nangu lekendande chibemba pakati ngufu kichabono ndi mubembane ndi mwina mporokoso.
No problem. Uncle will translate, or Mommy Irene will translate.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Mama. You know, fwewe na Zambia takwabo wasuminisho kuisa tu mulete ama Chinese bese mukuchita invest bufi takwaba. But who abarereta abama Chinese ni banani ma readers, those people you have voted for. So we can't even blame it on the citizens of Zambia. No problem. Talk what we have no leadership, vacancy leadership. You know, we really need a reader this time, especially in Zambia, so that we can see development.
Yes.
Otherwise, for as long as we are going to keep on blaming the citizens, we are going to blame them. If we citizen, we pay tax. Most of the time, if we Zambia, most of them, Zambia, to you fie. Takuru kesarando kwa tiyo bari mwingisho kubari mwingisha turayibombera fwebene nifo bachibombe bombe ngole bomba fira fino lebura na taxes walipira ku government. But what is happening wala sasa ngoko bati those people who are on top of things evarechta misuse indalama chachalo so tapano ko pinga fuko kuli konse. For as long as we are blaming the citizens, abakaere abena Zambia bali babwino sana no kubombesha bala bombesha echo bafwaya fie ni proper leadership chapwa, someone to show them to say, gentlemen, let's do this and do this. That's all. Zambians nishi mumonto mwe baikala oko kumbi kufyalo nishi mwabombera bwino ngachako batu walikuwa ta problem, because most of the time we will find that a Zambian will go to China who prosper akamba fe kubomba bwino, but fwebale chula ni muno ifo tuli muno mu Zambia. I can tell you fwebale muno mu Zambia ni fo fwebe shibe obuchushi tule chula wamfo ifo pali I'm from the border today Kasumbaresa.
Okay.
I'm going to come. Oh, sorry.
Sumbaresa with $200.
His network is cutting, I think.
Oh, can I come in?
Yeah, someone.
Oh, yeah, maybe he's receiving a call.
Okay.
Now let him finish, because I think he's been receiving a call. Let him finish. Yeah.
It's been me.
Carry on. Somebody was trying to call, so that's what happens. It cuts the. Carry on, Ipal. I think he's on a call.
Yeah, exactly.
Auntie Irene.
I'm back. Yes.
All right. Okay.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Ipalo, carry on.
Yes, exactly. Like I was saying, my sister. We have a problem, especially ourselves, especially us Zambians. Twaritemo ku blame fwema citizens aba bombesha fiebe nebene. Ama readers eba kwata problem. You are not going to say that government can fail to provide food on the table. We are in Zambia because ninshira nshama government yafuirisha fwema citizens. One, let us appreciate our culture. Then we work. Ama levies. We are paying this time Zambia, I can tell you, nefta wupuwa fe no shatu ready pila ama levy. Na toilet. But your toilet ama levies waya mona. What is it benefiting uyo inomwina Zambia tapari? You drive from Chingola to Kasumbalesa. We have a facility which is paying $200 per truck, and per day, roughly, we are crossing about 350 to 500 trucks. Now by $200, how many trucks are there? Some $200. Can you imagine about that? But ask me, where is that money going? You find that money is going to Dubai. Kuma Israelites. Ama Israelites. Zambia is not benefiting anything. Then you are blaming to say Zambians tamwate mwamenda. Ifufwe mana Zambia. Tuwari kuwata mano. No mbobo tuwa kuwata maridazi. Ridazi. Ewo tuwa kuwata problemu. Echo this time, let's ask Zambian, let's stop voting out of choosing leaders out of sympathy. Leadership takuwa boku mufwilo luse. Ita tafuidi ali mule mufwilo luse. Atiyo ngefiture mfaba mbibarela ndoko batiawe akokola sana ali mu opposition. No. Kusalo muntu leader we on merit. Ule samukutu wafuidisha. Ngefyo want some changes. I heard someone talk about something to say, even if we can change, nothing will happen. Every change of government, feel a change into. We are unity. We are unity. Unity batuba baisalando batulelanda amafoni atulelanda ni bachuba batuletere. After bachuluba bafuma pwefyo, mwaisa basata, we've seen how the development has been done. So we can't say that there is no change that will change. Things will change when we choose leaders on merit. Mamona. So, we love what just because you want to vote. This time we have two people. We have three potential candidates for 2021. Look at this. Mwalasa sokoba chabantu bechiri mulamu yemuchaka lekoba awe ifo para penetre fo ayechi umuntu alipone miku 5 bato mure ikoserera poyo win nishifishi murechita no muntu kwete message mwini yabasata muremu nabakuta murefu kumubikapo murefu alidyaka kota na puapo akeseteka 3 years nga 5 ne basata olo tukambyo kulira. Let's change also on that for Zambians. It's time Chishimbaka mbwili achiri mutuntulu sana mulumendo lekena tubombere Zambia. Akesa bomba kafile basaka wabombere. Tatulefwaya ukulabwekera kunuma ata tulefo okubwekera kunuma yo. Nachuwa mainoshta natuchenjera fwewe na Zambia tetimbepe ufi mami natuchenjera.
Yes, so
natu salapuka but ngata tusalapuike na mano bakala tu mangaira ine bakala tu dribula ngabe na bifulo. Look at aba nenso fe bare chitaoke bakemba besu bare chitafe bwino mukulande fe barela ndine but bare kwata problem na be na panono bare lusa ko chimo bare labo kwe bati ngani wabo kambe niwo wimbo teko batuku waishi wa politics yali shupa so kembanga wa yalanda ulelanda fye okay mwalala ndoko bati awe ifuta tulekwate efyu ichuma tatulekwate nchito azama youths okay nifinshi bala mipela I government na mushoko what this government cannot give you anything taire mitontonkanya po bala mipangira fika meeting ati seni mukuma neba nenga mwakumana chapo evofine chapo bamishinga bata chinjeni tufira tuchinje government. We need to change ba boss bali twoboko bati is our president but he told us to say he has no vision. He has no vision. Yes, we voted for him. Me, I voted for ECL. I voted for him for 2016. Nari voted, but he has failed us this time. We should change. Mamona, we should change. Ukuchinja, muwe na nguru America kuine ni banga president bachinja. Vengi kula chinja, we should change. We should change, not until lesaka tupere omuntu kesa tuwafuidisha. Jetukwambia kula itaba Chinese, ba Chinese vanshi muno mu Zambia ba Chinese. Necho chine chitundu chu Chinese. Na chimonapo brother umo kwati waku China ikala ku China. Kuti wasambirire chi Chinese, kali we kala ku China. Taukwete problem. Na ino ngana ku China nka asambirire chi Chinese. Usendera ndati kusambirira Chinese ndi ku Zambia. Inandi muno mu Zambia China ngaisa mwana China. Afuiri aisa ishiva ichitundu chesu ichinyanja nechivemba. Tekwe batu wisonje batiro muno mu Zambia wiso mkulanje bati choncho efinshi fyonom. Tekali fide mpangira poni fide. Mami, elo chimbi chile vipasana chakomati. Mwamona, eto tatukwete leadership. Fwebena Zambia tula ibombesha fwebena. I can tell you that. We are paying taxes, mami. Tula bombesha fwebena. But what we benefit? Tapadi effort to chita benefit if the fions. Ava shidi pila na if the fions. Nabe na mafode na zaba isanga ba Chinese, ama Somalians. Look at this. Ama Somalians wala sanga tibadi kwata. Somalians kwata ama fruit. I am a track in nangu 200 more than 100, but that's an register company.
Yeah.
Momona, it's happening in dollar that. It's happening in dollar. It's
Imagine.
there. So we.
Maybe it's received the call again. It's frozen. JC, how are you?
Oh, good, thanks, Lily. How have you been, and how's everyone?
Thank you. I think he's received the call after his cut. Yes, everyone is fine. Good to hear from you, JC.
Yeah, it's been long. I think I've been missing. I don't know for the
What's your comment?
days. Yeah, so basically.
Yeah, yesterday I did the person. Yeah, but.
Oh yeah. So basically, the first thing that we need to think through is all these things. I think the three things that you have put in place, they are all governed on the issue of a leader. All these three things. The first thing, the issue of the Chinese language, the ECZ, and the voting registration. So when we look at all these three things, the first thing that we see, there is a lack of a leader in our nation. I think people who are well known of understanding scriptures, there is a time when the Bible says there was a time in Israel when every man did according to what they wanted. That's in the book of Judges. So everyone desired to do what they wanted. Anyone sang the song they wanted. Anyone worshipped the God that they wanted. This is where we are. Every person in parliament, every person in leadership, everyone, whether at those that are headmasters, at the schools, everyone at this time, they are doing what their hearts desires. They are doing what they think is going to benefit them. Why? Very simple. Because the president, the leader said, "Do bomba muibara." So everyone wants to work in the field and eat from the field. That's the first thing. So the Bible again tells us, if we are saying Zambia is a Christian nation, the Bible tells us that a blind man cannot lead a fellow blind person. By no means. So we have got a leader who tells us that he is blind even before we can nominate him into power. He says, "I don't have a vision," and the Bible is clear. Where there is no vision, people perish. So if he doesn't have a vision, does it mean that now his eyes are opened and he has a vision? What vision does he have for the people? All right, if he is saying that now at least he has a glimpse of an eye that he can see, then he has got a vision. The question is, if he can see clearly, why is he trying to allow people to tell us that Chinese language should be now become one of the languages in Zambia that we need to learn. You know, absolutely, we begin to see that all these things, they are wrong because they start from the head. The leader is corrupt. The head which we have is not making the purposes that a leader has to make. So we realize that because the leader cannot make the right decisions, he cannot think properly. All these things now, they come as an advantage. You know, there are people who gets an advantage for how we are in our weaknesses. They first study you. They think of who you are and what you can think. And they will make sure they utilize your weakness that you have. So this is one thing that we are seeing now in Zambia. You know, this is a nonsense. If we can have our brothers and our sisters who can write exams in their own local language and still fail, then what is it that is going to make Zambian people to pass the Chinese language? First question. And secondly, does it mean the government has secured the job for Zambian youths in China? What is a guarantee? What's the purpose for us to learn such languages? I would rather prefer that the government could just bring the Zambian constitution in school in place of putting this Chinese language. It would have made sense because at least you make the citizens to be aware of their rights, to know their boundaries and to know what they can do, compared to when you bring the Chinese language and where some people think that it might end up becoming even compulsory. What benefit do we have over it? What is it that we need to gain out of it? Nothing, absolutely nothing. Actually, if in other words, if we really wanted to have another language, if we say English isn't enough and our local languages, they are not enough. At least if we could put even Swahili, because we know Swahili is just next to our borders. Whenever we move within Africa, we still speak Swahili. But now you realize that the government where they are, and it's just the matter of their frustration. They do not know what to do. They don't know who's the drum major. They don't know who's leading. It's like everyone is a leader on his own. He can do whatever he pleases, whatever they want. Secondly, we hear the ECZ coming with the issues of the fees and for presidential candidates and alike. The question should be very simple. If the ECZ can put these fees like this, then how many candidates are going to stand in the first place? Secondly, do such things create an atmosphere for our youths in Zambia that they can stand one day as an MP? Let's say if one of us wants to stand today, where are you going to mobilize and to get that amount of money? 120,000. Where are you going to get it? So already we can see that what's happening here. One, the PF is also involved in this decision making because they know that at this time there will be few people who will be involved in standing, and as a result, it means those other guys who don't have enough money, their votes are going to go maybe to the Patriotic Front. So this is a strategy. Sometimes we might think that it's not a strategy. This is a strategy. Instead of them understanding that the people now, they do not have money. People are struggling. Let's lower the fees down. Let's put these fees to be at least affordable for each and every youth of Zambia, each and every citizen. Because like where we have reached now, I think even youths have reached at a point when they think they can stand, even they have realized that there is a capability and the ability that they can stand as presidential candidates. They are capable of that. But now looking at the economy and looking at the fees that are being put on top, it means there is no hope for the youths. Then why should we continue and even thinking that the ECZ is operating on its own free dimension? That's wrong. Already we can see that the PF is infiltrating things and they are pushing on a hidden agenda. Then when we come to the issue of voting registration, this is one thing that we really need not even to brag about and think about. This is something very simple. You know, certain things we don't need even to use a calculator. Certain things, basically, we don't even need someone. We don't need an advisor. We just need people Who can see using common sense? That's why one person said common sense is not common, and that is very true. Because how do you say that voters registration should be only maybe a month? On what grounds? If the previous election it wasn't like that, then what will make this process to become so quicker? What magic is it going to be used, which is going to work and help the people to register within a short period of time? Already you begin to realize that these guys, they really do not know what to do. And they say, no, it's because we do not have enough money. Okay, quite well, you are saying you do not have money. Why don't you withdraw the bill and all those expenses, unnecessary expenses that you are imputing on the bill and putting people to go and protest? You pay the money to protest. What kind of desperation is the government into? They are so desperate to a level that the government is behaving as if it is an opposition. They are so desperate for power, I can tell you. Their behavior. I was just wondering, how do the government mobilize people and tell them go to the opposition party? And you know, certain things, people might think that as youths we do not reason and we don't think. Just think of the brochures those guys were carrying, the banners they were moving with. Are you telling me those people who were carrying those banners, those guys can manage? So some of them, they are where they are. They don't even know where they can print that banner from. So that shows that it was an organized thing, and the money which was being used, it is taxpayers' money, the money which was supposed to make our lives to be better as youths, the money which was supposed to create jobs for youths. It is now the money that is being channeled so that people should go and inform the people in Lusaka at the Secretariat for UPND and tell them that HH, if you love us, allow Butane to go in. You know, those are kind of things that are happening in Africa. And when you look at them, where are they heading to? Where are we going? And what is the end result of these things? Instead of us thinking now and trying to set protocols and rules, how are we going to create more jobs? How are we going to make people earn a better living? How are we going to pay those retirees? How are we going to mobilize money that our money should be producing itself within the country? Instead of thinking like that, or what they see, they want to cling on to power. So one thing that I've realized with the current government, one thing, they don't have the heart for the people. The other day I went to take one of my young sisters just to have an NRC. I was being told, no, you can't even have an NRC because at the moment we still have got the applications for last year in October. Now, imagine we are in June and they're still claiming they still have got applications for last year in October. Someone in October has been applying to have an NRC in October. Then you come and you say, okay, those who are going to vote, voters registration is going to be just 30 days. Is that logical thinking? Already it shows that the government is very lawless in thinking. Their thinking capacity is affected. You know, some people, they say a fish first starts rotting from the head. That's what we are seeing. The head is very corrupt to an extent that they can't even see. Even their conscience is dead. Their conscience can't even separate what is right and what is wrong. Why? It's because these guys, they are corrupt. Corruption has become the definition of this government. If a child asks you what does corruption mean, you just look at PF, that is corruption. They'll find the definition from there. The corruption which is in the country has made them to become so desperate, and to a point that, you know, power, when we talk of power, we'll never be satisfied with power. No matter what, it same applies with money. You never be satisfied with money. You never be satisfied with power. So that's the the same thing which is happening with these brothers now. We are seeing moving around. We hear them saying, no, they had the COVID-19 just some few weeks ago. COVID-19. So if COVID-19, them they are getting healed of COVID-19, why don't they open taverns? People will be getting healed. It has become a flu now. Because we can see them, an example is set by them. They had COVID-19, 2-3 days, they are healed. We see them moving around. So why can't we allow even the citizens to open their taverns? Let them enjoy. Because if they get COVID-19, at least from our leaders, we have learned a lesson that COVID-19 can be healed, can be cured. So the same cure they used to cure themselves, we shall use the same cure. So basically, on these three things that we are discussing today, I think we really need a government in the first place that is going to create an atmosphere for the youths to learn. The youths would never develop if the atmosphere does not give them room for development. We can never talk of a transformation of the mind if the youths where they are in a situation which is a vacuum. They can't breathe. Look at youths today. If you want to search for youths, if you want to know where they are, just go in the Airtel MTN booths, you'll find the youths, lots of youths. That's where they are staying. That's where they're trying to earn a living from there. Now, staying there, it means that all the assets that the youths were supposed to invest into, they can no longer invest. Their years are going. Next thing, we realize that we have misused the resources, because when you look at youths, what need to come in our minds, it is a resource. That's a human resource. How can we use those people to produce better things in our country? But we can't use them. Why? Because we do not have jobs. We have not created any. So basically, the government really needs to sit down and think properly from their leader, the top leader, coming down. Then they are going to find the solution. And as youths, we are saying we'll never sleep, we'll never slumber. We are going to rise and we shall lift our banners. Whether now they don't allow and give us what we need, but we shall show them one day when we will be given a right to vote, because we shall show them their position and we shall show them that, guys, what you were doing, it was enough, but this time we are on you, and we need a new government, a government that is going to change things, a government that is going to create a room for us youths to have a new mindset, a new thinking in everything that we do. And let me just conclude from there as I give room for other people just to continue with the same conversation. Thank you so much. Have a blessed evening.
Hi there. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, what I can, I think Lily is gone off air now. I think what I can say at this point in time is we lack leadership.
Yeah.
Because if we had leaders, all what is happening in Zambia wouldn't have been happening. How can a country allow foreigners to come and work as policemen? Where are the Zambian youths who are supposed to be working as policemen? Why would a country allow just Chinese people have just been in Zambia for a few years to take their language as to be compulsory, to be taken for examinations? For what? Where are they the youths going to go and work? Because they wouldn't even be allowed or given a chance to do a proper job, even if they learn Chinese, if they have to travel to go and work in China. So what's the point of wasting time? Why not give the youths proper curriculum so that there's so many things that is lacking in education within the youths that they can learn. They were saying, oh, University of Zambia don't produce students who can deal with that. Why not create something like that so that the youths can be dealing with that instead of employing people from other countries? Are they really sure there are no youths who are because there are so many people who are so intelligent, and when they go out of Zambia, like so many of us have done really well in the diaspora. Why is that? People where we are have got trust in us. What the problem is, the Zambian government hasn't got trust or even belief in the youths in Zambia. So it's really I don't even know, because even up until now I don't even know which political party will come into power and give us what we want, because most of the people I've seen in these political parties, most of them have moved from one party to another, and they've allowed it just going round and round in circles from one party to another. They come back. Why can't they give chance to young ones? If we know they've been there, doing their politics for a long time, and if they want our country to go forward, they should give chance to the youths. They could be there in the background, just probably advising the youths. Let the youths take over. So it's really sad, because even most of them are in their 70s, 80s. They still want to cling on to power, and they've got no knowledge of what is happening nowadays. They've got no knowledge at all. So that's me there. I'll give chance to another person to say something.
Lily, can I jump in quick?
Thank you so much, and Irene. Carla.
Hi. Hi, Lily.
Oh, Asante, are you here now? Asante,
yeah,
are you
here? Can you hear me?
Asante, I was calling you earlier, but you were silent.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry,
yes,
I couldn't
Asante. Contribute. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. You? Hope everyone in the chat is okay. Well, whoever paid
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm fuming. Whoever paid France
Yes, we can hear
you need to get out. How do you pay your brothers oppressors? France collects 500 billion from Africa every year. France has killed 22 African leaders, and you pay them 500 million to give you advice? Is the government okay? They need to leave. France takes the resources, killed 22 leaders. How do you expect them to give you a good advice?
What are they there?
France is the reason why 14 African countries are poor. And you think they're going to give you good advice? You're paying your brothers oppressors so they can provide our people with more guns to go and shoot themselves and cause destruction. What's going on? We need to fix this. And secondly, whilst taking Lungu out, we might bring in another Lungu, because we got people with colonized minds on the continent. Everyone. There are a lot of Lungus in the continent, and we need to sort that. As people in the diaspora, we need to join groups, and we need to join groups and site like Twitter pages with Africans on it, African on the continent on it, and check them. Get them to decolonize their minds. That's the only way we can move forward. If not, we're gonna be putting Lungus, puppets, coons, Uncle Toms in position every time, who think anyone who is lighter than our skin color is better. Now, if we don't, why would you go for advice from France? What happened to Kagame? He's doing really well. Why didn't Zambia go to Kagame? Why? Why must we go to France? Because we think the fair man or the white man is better than us. We need to decolonize. We didn't do that work. When we got independence, we didn't get economic independence, and we're still in. Our brains have not been decolonized. We need to fix that before we move forward. If not, we'll be battling the same situation every time. Our whole history has been whitewashed. Our education system has been made in a way to keep us down. How is it that if I want to do science in secondary school, if I'm studying science, they want me to study Christian religious studies on the side, social studies on the side? What are these supposed to do for me? How am I going to get time to build myself in the science area to move forward when I've learned all this before I got to secondary school? Why? And also, I went to school in Ghana. Our history in Ghana is made in a way that it makes us glorify the white man. I, at a point, hated the fact that the colonizers left. Why? Because of the history. Until I found out what they did to Congo, what they did to Namibia, what they did to Kenya. King Leopold himself single-handedly killed 10 to 15 million Africans. And when I found out all this, the shackles of the mind came down. We're not taught properly. And until that is fixed, nothing is going to change. We need to sort that out before we move forward. That's all I have to say. Everyone in the chat, if you join a group, join a page on Twitter, Instagram, wherever that has got only Africans on it. And make sure you check them. Make sure you help them decolonize. That's all we need to do. That's all I have to add. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution. I know join now. Let me. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Lily? Yeah, well, my contribution. I don't know where to start.
What do you want to say?
Every day there's something new. It's like a circus over there. But anyway, we are gonna speak on
Yes.
this. We have the yeah. So my problem is with the Electoral Commission of Zambia. What are they thinking? I mean, like, which universe are they living in? Because I don't understand how they can, in one moment, say they reduce the number of voter registration days to 30 days instead of 60 because of coronavirus. But when I'm thinking, the 30 days will allow a lot of people that want to go and register in that short period of time. So that will even increase when it comes to even coronavirus spreading infections. And then on top of that, they say prisoners, they want prisoners to vote. How do you allow people that have grabbed their freedom because they have committed a crime, and then you want them to vote? So those are the things that I really wonder, how are they thinking? And then on top of that, they have brought all these prices. People have to pay so much money just to enter as a councillor, whatever. That's too much because of coronavirus. I think because they were thinking, because of coronavirus, let's do this. And in the spirit of coronavirus, I was thinking, because economies have gone down, people don't have money, so why increase? And which people do you want to participate in the elections? If you increase those prices, you know, people have not had jobs for 3-4 months. It will take a long time to recover. So whom do they want to register to vote, for people to vote for?
Yes.
I just don't understand how they are thinking.
They vote for themselves.
Yeah.
But I voted up.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be That's why we are talking about corruption. I believe this is somehow what they are doing is as if they are working together behind the closed doors with the government in charge right now, because with the way they are going, with the way we are not hearing things from the president, he is not responding to things that needs his response. He didn't respond to the minister insulting people right on television, beating people right in front of everyone's eyes, and he is so quiet. And the next time he wants people to vote, please, Zambia, smarter than that. We are smarter. This time around, we say no to that, and that's why we are speaking out. We cannot close everyone's lips. We are shutting up. We are speaking up every day. If it claims that, I mean, what are they thinking? And when it comes to this, everybody has really spoken when it comes to China, Chinese, and everything. And even my brother from Sweden, I think we need to get in touch. I'm also in Sweden. So we know about the taxes China has and what they are doing world over. They threaten people when you try to speak. But I think in Zambia, it has gone, I don't know how many steps further in the wrong direction. Because there we are allowing them, even, I don't even think some of the things that the Chinese government is really involved in it. It's just that because it's the Chinese, then we let them do whatever they want.
I doubt even the president of China is aware that Chinese are like this in Zambia. I doubt that. Because
Some of the things, these
I doubt.
things.
Thank you.
That's
I doubt. Inshatala munapa president nga bayana ngwauti ku China baya kumana na president wa ku China on several occasions. Ba mukupita fedi mbikote ba beba fato Mr. President you are welcome in China. We know this. Mwenda fe we know yama. Presidency buwishibwa chalo wabangenga ndafeda fini. Kuti ulebe pa bakashibo bepanga ndati banena ya ku business. Na uya mukwangala ule pota masha. Urebe pati ureba bana bakashuwa bare kutumina nendala maishau papati na alifimona pwe fintu fila chitike fiaso umuntu kuti arebe pati hawe ndebomba ndefumia moto kalimbi ku Dar es Salaam ali ya mukupota masha ali ila kumonesha duty kula kuinaresa mukubwera ta kwa tendala meshishos uno zilimbia file chitika na fumene Muzambia because takwa be fintu chitika vya msango nakano no limbi kutika kwa bati tetu muchite fiaso. Fishing cave, your sister, what you're saying. Fishing cave. It's too much in Zambia.
It's too much. But then we are.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Ricardo.
Hey, Lily. You know, what is really.
Hi, Ricardo.
What is troubling to me is more than anything else is the language. It is said that if you want to replace the language of any people, you teach the youths, and within that single generation, you effectively eliminate the language that has been. In other words, and this is why you hear me talk about the youths. They really need to get up and demand more and better, because the older folks are not heading into the future. You know, the older folks are heading to the grave. The youths are the ones who are heading into the future. And when the language of the youths is Chinese, that's going to be the language of the future. You know, history is there to help us understand the mistakes that we made and to allow us to evaluate the path that we are going down to determine if we are repeating those same mistakes again. Okay? It is projected that by 2050, somewhere around there, China would be the #1 economy in the world. There are some analysis that said that it will be before that some even said by 2030. The rate at which things are going right now with COVID-19 and everything else, it's possible that that could happen even further.
They have failed America.
Yeah.
They have failed in America.
Yes. You know, after China, it is projected that the next large economy to follow China would be India before Africa. Now, think about it. When you read the African Union projection, they said, you know, their goal is 2060. Now, if you are teaching your children, your youths, a new language now, what do you think will be the language of the country by 2063? Okay? We have to bear in mind that the Chinese, they don't think only short term. The Chinese think long term. They have their 5-year goal, they have their 10-year goal, they have their 20-year goal, and they revise their 5-year plan every 5 years according to how things are going. They revise their plan as often as they need to so that basically it is set to achieve their goals and their objectives. One of the objectives of the Chinese language in Gambia, okay, is to allow not Gambia, Zambia. Gambia is in my mind because I was watching this, battle that's going on there with some diaspora. But the strategy, one of the strategy, with the Chinese language in Zambia is not for is not necessarily for the benefit of the Zambian. It is for the benefit of the Chinese, so that when they migrate to the country, they can assimilate, because they will not have to fight to understand what the people are saying. They will fit in very comfortably, very easily. It will be home for them. They will populate, they will increase. And while your people decrease, it systematically replaces the people of that country, not just the language. The people also. So over time, you would be a displaced people. Your language will be gone. And the people who populate your country will not be the black people. If you look at all those French colonies, you would understand, you will see. Let's look at history. Look at the French colonies. Look at the DRC. You look at all these French-speaking countries. That was the same approach that the French used. Look at the English-speaking countries. That was the same approach that the British used in order to simulate, in order to fit in order to basically be part of that country, be part of that economy. You say something, they understand. You can't create strategies against them because they understand and know everything that you say. The Chinese are not just thinking now, they are thinking of the future, when they become overpopulated like they already are and they need to flee. They're already there. It's a sign. I mean, the projection, and I would say it again, the projection is that by 2030, you would have over 300 million plus Chinese on the African continent. So there is need for there to be a language that they can understand, with the people understanding them as well. Or else, if that's not the case, it's going to be chaos. So the people need to understand the strategies that are applied, by these foreign entities, on your own soil. It's strategic. It is not by accident. It's not about investment. It's not about them coming there and being able to hire you. No, it's greater than that. It's for their benefit. No foreign country, no foreign government go into a foreign country purely for the benefit of those people. They go there for the benefit of themselves and their people. You really have to wake up. The people have to wake up.
And they'll go back.
Yep, the people need to wake up. It's a strategic move to basically reduce your position, put you at a disadvantage, because then when all the businesses are developed and they said, well, we need people who can speak Chinese. You can't speak the Chinese language. They give their people. Then they bring in all their qualified people. And guess what? The common language of the day is Chinese.
It's very bad.
History is there. History is there for us to evaluate the path that we're going. So we make the right decision.
Can I come in?
Yes, I'll exit so someone else can come in and contribute to the program.
Can I come in? Now I'm going to say something here. I'm going to say something here, which is very.
Are you okay, Ricardo?
Can everyone hear me, please?
Yes. Yes.
So let me say something here. The philosophers
we can hear you.
Philosophers say, he who feeds you controls you. It doesn't matter who they are, their color, their race, their language. But if someone, even in families, we see it, the person with the biggest money gives the most valid opinion at a funeral, at a wedding, where there's a problem. So the biggest feeder here is China on Zambia, who doesn't care whether your credit score is bad or anything. Now, where there's poverty, where there's poverty,
my brother, Zambia, we have money.
No. We are not. What we are doing here, we're not discussing money. We are discussing the mindset issue. We have the money. But the reason why we have the money and we step on it is because we are dealing with a mindset issue, which we are trying to change here. So when you have wealth that you are not aware of, you are not rich. Okay? You just have quantity, but you cannot qualify your wealth, but you can quantify. This is what we have. I'll give you an example which I gave earlier for those that were not there. We confiscated 220 kilograms of gold in Winunga. If you go on the internet now to sell that gold, it's over $6 million. It's over $6 million. That's 220 kilograms of gold. We confiscated it as evidence of criminality. Okay, and the state has the power to sell that gold and generate over $6 million. Now you require $3 million to set up that gold mine in Winunga. And when you set up that gold mine, you can let me finish this, because this is important for the country to know that we are not dealing with the money. Okay, we are not dealing with money. We are dealing with the mindset here. We are dealing with our own belief that we can make it as Africa, as Zambia, but we are refusing to rebellate ourselves. The Chinese, when a Chinese man comes from Beijing, he doesn't know where Mukula tree is. He doesn't even know what the word Mukula is. He doesn't know what the word Mwinrunga is. He doesn't know what KCM is. We are the ones that tell them, KCM Yaba, Mukula Yaba. We are the ones who tell them. And when I say we, it means someone in Zambia is telling them where the wealth is. And now, for the lack of knowledge, people perish. Okay, and as long as we gaggy the freedom of speech, there will not be knowledge, because people will not know what is going on. So the biggest issue that we are trying to cover here is not the money issue. No, we are dealing with the mindset issue. What is our ideology? What is our vision? What is the spirit of the nation? What is the will that we want? Because what we are doing here, all of us in this platform here, we are not talking for ourselves. We are trying to find a better Zambia that we are going to hand over to the next generation. That is my worry. Me, I'm not worried about myself. I've seen the world. I've traveled the world.
Indeed,
I'm not worried. I'm worried about that kid who is sitting on a brick, that pew in Nkeyema, in Ncherenge, wikere periwe, arimukras areremba on the palm, areremba pakuwoko, 1 + 1 is the worry I have now. Okay, now how did we get here? Now, how did we get here? Look where we are. Where we are now, the Chinese can dangle a carrot, money in the air, and anyone can cut a deal and doesn't care where Zambia is going. But now look at this. China, value 2 billion. There are 2 billion plus in their country, in China. Okay, so when they look at Zambia, now we have gone to the worst level of humiliating ourselves, where out of having 72 languages, we have accommodated a 73rd language, Chinese.
Another one, China.
No, me, I don't hate China. China is a business partner that can cut a deal with any country. They're not a problem. The problem is if look, me, I like to refer to the Bible. When Jesus told his own mother, not a stranger, Abanyina told Mary, on the cross, Alefa, don't mourn me. For me, it's done. It's you to mourn for yourselves. So we are the people that are now mourning for ourselves. What kind of a Zambia do we want? China is not building the new airport in Lusaka for 2021 elections. No, they are building for the next 20 years, 30 years, knowing that when these politicians who are there now are not there, they will come and say, this was done by our ancestors. This was done by our uncles. They're not building that for us. Because when you fail to pay, they will possess of it. Okay? So you can be anywhere in the world. You can be anywhere in the world. You can be in America, in Australia. Your property in Zambia will be a property of China when China takes over Zambia. So they are not looking at 2021. China is looking at the future. So even us, we need to look at Zambia in a futuristic point of view. Okay, the God that we have in Minurunga, who is going to be in charge of it? Let me tell you this for free. Our grandchildren will start getting title deeds from Beijing, written in Chinese. You remember these words I'm saying now. Just like Thomas Sankara said, they will come back in the form of investors and they will colonize you with debt. So the latest and easiest form of colonizing us now is in Congole, because we are not working on our mindset, we are working on the money. We are not dealing, money is not the problem. The issue is us having the mindset to believe in ourselves that we can stand and negotiate. Zambia doesn't need aid. We need trade. Okay? I've got
yes.
You've got technology. I've got emerald. You've got knowledge.
Yeah.
I've got diamonds. You've got institutions. So can we dialogue? There's no free lunch. There's no free lunch. Okay, let me give you a simple example. We started building Kaunda International Airport. I'm sorry to people that work for these airports, but I have to say this. We haven't finished building that airport. We start building another one in Ndola. How many people fly in Zambia out of 18 million people? How many people fly in Zambia? So we are
very few.
We are building a facility
not
that
many.
we are not producing. We are consuming what we don't produce. We are producing. So we are like a bus stop for anyone. This is not a Chinese problem. This is an issue where we have to set precedents and give standards. Say, as Zambia, if you want to do something with us, this is our principle. This is where we stand. This is our standard as Zambia. I am not against anyone knowing how to speak Chinese. If as an individual in Zambia you have interest in China, go and Google Musambi Tifid how to write those sticks. Go and do it. We have no problem with you. But where you want to make it mandatory, okay, to undo our history and culture. And let me tell you, the most dangerous people against any nation are people that are willing to undo your culture and history, because they will make the next generation not know who stood for them to be where they are. Abakafiaro Zambia in 2050, they'll be thinking that they are freedom by China. Exactly. It's the same thing Jesus did. When Jesus died for our sin, he did not do it so that we forget him, no. And even his last words were, do this in remembrance of me. Okay? Do whatever you want, but just remember me that I died for you. Chapwa. Now, this is where we are. Abakafiara mu 2100 in Zambia, mu 2060 in Zambia, they would think China is what built this country. They will not say Varungu built it, no, they will be thinking China built this country. So we need to grow. Culture is the richest wealth of any nation. There's if Fiashala economy, there's second, but our culture, if we hold steadfast to it, it's the biggest wealth that you can sell. Look, the English we are speaking is part of the culture. For them to communicate and understand how they live as UK, they speak. You cannot pass on a culture to people without a language. You need a language to pass a culture so that you communicate to say, it's a language you need to pass on a culture. So if someone comes in the medium, in the means, language is a means of passing on a culture. So if someone intervenes into your means of passing on a culture, they will have sent you in disarray. You don't know where you're coming from and you don't know where you're going. This is why philosophers will tell you that there are three fundamentals of debating in politics. One, should be having cognizance of history. Two, you should have an awareness of science. And three, you should have an adherence to logic, because the logic is a software of reasoning. Just so easy, integrity being a software of leadership. So without integrity, it doesn't matter how many times they call you honorable. Without integrity, there's no and without communication, there's no democracy. This is why we need the freedom of speech. We don't care how many roads you build or you don't build. We don't care how many fire tenders you buy.
Let me hold you there. Let me hold you there. One of my subscribers commented that, oh, okay, we are talking about these things. Why don't we protest? So could you please explain to him why we are not protesting? What's happening in Zambia at present? Because he asked the question. Explain.
The reason why we're not protesting, we are dealing with a cosmetic or what we call a posh. We have a very posh kind of dictatorship, which we are not realizing. Because we always think dictatorship is when a president takes over a government named Futi. No, dictatorship is when your opinion cannot be heard because it is controlled. A controlled opinion is not an opinion. Okay? A controlled right is not a right. A human right is what you are born with. You have the right to speech. You have the freedom to express yourself. If that freedom is controlled, you have to be called disgruntled for you to speak. If that right for you to speak, you have to be. I'm so shocked in the history of even in China, where there's no democracy. I've never heard, even in North Korea, where there's John Kim, I've never heard him say, go and break the bonds of the youths for protesting. Protesting is a constitutional provision. It's in the constitution.
Do you know the problem why we? Do you know why we have that problem?
No, but look, the problem, I'll tell you why. The problem. We have the Public Order Act, which came in 1954.
No leadership.
We are using a constitution which was written for us from Lancaster House. So we have not defined
amendment. Always amendment.
We have borrowed a destiny which has been donated to us, which we have imported our destiny. Now, when you import something, you are not in the factory. You are a consumer. You do not understand how it's manufactured. Whether there's poison there, you don't know. It doesn't matter how many times you amend it, okay? Because the original constitution that we've been amending from the First Republic has been a Schedule 2 of Chapter 65, which was given to Akaunda to say, go and be the president. We don't know the term limit. Now, we are not going to go to back history. We are going to start from where we are. We are solving the problem as of now, 2020 June. What's the way forward? The way forward is, can you take off that knee from our neck? Because we want to breathe and speak. Someone has got a knee on our neck. Okay? And that knee is he who feeds you, controls you. Now, the wealth that we have in Zambia is not a wealth that anywhere else has to control us. But because we have not given ourselves our unity in diversity to appreciate the wealth we have. This is why we are saying butane is not necessary. Even if you pass butane tonight, you are not going to reduce the price of fuel. You are not going to reduce the price of meal. You are not going to reduce the price of life. You are not going to reduce the price of education. So let things like butane, they're diverting us from solving the real issues. The real issues we want here is the freedom of a Zambian child. It's the freedom of our culture. So that Chinese language, please, take away that language. Put even Tumbuka there. We are okay. Put even in Koya there. We are okay. Put even in Soli there. We are okay. But why are we learning Chinese? Who wants to go to China? In Zambia? Tapali. So why are we bringing things to ourselves which we do not want? Why are we creating problems when we have solutions? Why are we not appreciating our solutions? That's what we are saying. These things are connected. They are connected. Look, the behavior of any nation shows the type of economy you have. There is no country in the world that will tell you to say their behavior is not connected to their economy. If your economy, look, when Zambia read the national budget last October, it was at 106 billion kwacha. That was equivalent to $8.6 billion. Okay, now that the dollar has gone up in exchange rate at 100%, our budget has come down because we are an import dependent economy. Whatever we do, we equate to dollar. So our budget has dropped 100% from $8.6 billion to $4.3 billion. Now, 40% of our budget is going to national debt at $8.6 billion, meaning about $3 or so billion was going to debt. Now, if you reduce your budget from 8 to 4 billion. How much are you remaining with as your fiscal cap? We have no economy. We only have a budget. This is where now we don't even know whether a donated bicycle has been paid for. We can't tell. We can't find it. Now, do you want to trust Butane with a government that does not know the owner of 48 houses? Are you seriously going to trust such a government? Are you going to trust a government
Hold on.
where they don't know the owner of the 48 houses?
Let me just allow Boyd to speak. And please, if you come on the stream, always make sure you've lowered your volume for whatever device because of copyright. I can get a copyright claim via YouTube because this is on YouTube. Yeah. How are you, Boyd? Good to see you, sir.
Doing good. How are you over there? Sure.
Fine, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Sure, appreciate it.
What time is it in America?
It's 5:29 p.m.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Oh, yeah. Nice.
It's just in the evenings. Hello there, guys.
Yeah. What's your contribution?
Yes. My thought.
What's your contribution, Boyd?
Yeah, sure. My thought is we have, like, I agree with one of the gentlemen, we have a system in place that does not have the economy that can support the debt that we have in place. The government went too far, borrowing too much money, and now they're having an issue to pay back the loans. And because of that, they're defaulting on the loans, and that's causing a lot of issues for the nation. And now it would be quite hard to fix this, with a government that continues stealing money.
Exactly.
Because in order for this to work, number one, they have to create an economy right there in Zambia. Like, one of the examples I'll give is, instead of giving contractors to foreigners, giving contractors to other people, instead they'll give the contractors to the actual Zambians who can actually spend the money within the country, and the money comes back and some of it go back as taxes to the government. Now, what they're trying to do is tax people on their paychecks, tax on the fuel. Like right now in the US, fuel is very cheap. I can get a gallon of gas, which is equivalent to 3 liters or pretty close to it, for about less than $2.
Yeah.
But you go in Zambia, just 1 liter, it's a lot of money. It's more expensive.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's expensive. And part of it is because the government is trying
something.
Right, that's about $1. So they're getting 3 liters of gas in Zambia for about $3. When I can get it for less than $2. So you can imagine what's going on here, and it's for them trying to offset by charging people so much, and making the cost of living so much unbearable for the Zambians, so that they can try to meet the budget and they can steal money. It's just a mess. Meet the budget.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So the whole discussion obviously has been around our political leaders in Zambia. And by the way, Ipalo, when we come on the streams, we are not campaigning for any political party, because in some comments on Facebook, people are saying you were doing very well until you started campaigning for a political party leader. That's why people enjoy these streams, because we don't talk about anyone. All we're just saying is, look, this government needs to be removed and we need to change leadership. At present, we're all confused. We don't know who will lead. Yes, we know some of them are popular, but things can change by December. Maybe somebody will rise up, and there's 100,000 kwacha that needs to be paid. Some will manage, some will not manage. So by then we'll know. So just bear in mind each time you come on these live streams that we are not campaigning for any political party, because as people may get the wrong message that that's what we are doing, because then already the current government thinks we're being sent by different political parties, especially the main opposition, but we are not. We're just youths who are speaking using this live stream to what's going on. There's lots of comments that I wanted to read on Facebook web. Just comment nice for us.
Can I mention something before you read?
Them. So thank you very much, obviously, for your contribution. I know we're not leaving now. Just let me just I'm just trying to read some comments first. Okay, Mwewa Chibuya says the president is to blame for all the problems we are going through, for the unprecedented levels of corruption and also so many scandals. And then obviously it's long. Just go to this point where it says, come 2021, we are going to use our constitutional right to vote to end all these injustices. It's important we read the comments as well from what people are saying. Fabian says, we will fight for what belongs to us. Let them try, come 2021. And these politicians, especially in government, are like the head and talks about the generation. So the worry that I have is, much as we're looking for a leader over, Zambia, are we going to have a recycled kind of thing where we'll still have the same people? Just the other day, I was doing a live stream and I asked people how old Nkandoluo was, and they told me she's about 65. And I'm thinking, this lady has been a minister since I was a kid, since I was in primary school. Now, I've finished primary school, I've finished secondary school, I've finished university, and I've had my master's. She's still a minister? And then I don't have a job. So that's where we should focus on main, is why anybody who wants to be in leadership now should consider the youths more. Because how can this, she's supposed to be, I've even had children as well. She's supposed to be a grandmother. She's a grandma. What is she doing in that seat? And then they've even trying to say, if they can still be in government till they are 70 years old, meaning I have to wait till I'm 45 or 6 or 50, because by the time I'm 50, maybe she'll be 85. And this is why they're making things tougher and tougher for everybody. The presidential seat, for you to apply for it, 150,000. Which youth can afford this unless we donate, obviously? And then they bring the voting, which is only in October. Registration is only in October.
1 month.
And I'm thinking they are trying to change everything just to suit the house. And then the bill so my life, because I was like, look, I have been given, these guys want to in using the church. The church should endorse this. And now they're trying to use Bill 10. They are trying by all means, when the youth try to protest, they say we can't protest. They've canceled our 22nd June protest. We said, okay, we'll protest online. But we saw a bunch of clowns from the current government protesting, endorsing Bill 10. And some are even protesting against SIA 1. How can you stoop to that level as a country to be protesting against someone who is just practically talking about Zambia this, Zambia this? Yes, he is talking about Zambia. But for you to bring that much of attention, it means you've run out of options. You are shallow.
Yeah.
It's like we're in a mafia kind of thing. It's not even a government anymore. It's a mafia. It's like a third kind of arrangement. One of my friends commented on Facebook and had a coda. I saw you commenting on Lily's Facebook. You need to stop. She's in the UK, you're here. What type of arrangement is this? So HH as well, he has cadres as well. So even if we put HH in power now, maybe his cadres will be worse than even the PF cadres. So what we need to fight for is somebody who will say no cadreism. It needs to change, because I'm scared, my sister, because already HH is cadres, they've been really humiliated for a long time. And people are boiling with tempers. And now if they get the position, even I think Kambuli also has cadres. They all have cadres.
Yeah.
I think the only, does MMD have cadres?
Yeah.
How can we have
I think
people,
we need, sorry to
they're all fighting.
cut.
Can I answer that question?
We need a debate. We need to push it for a debate before the election and really ask questions.
Yeah.
Can I answer the question of cadres?
Yes.
In every governance system, there's what you call the backstop. The back stops at someone. In Zambia, we have a mixture of a presidential and a parliamentary system. It's mixed, okay? Meaning a president in Zambia doesn't need to be an MP, okay? So meaning the majority leader in the country of who wins an election does not need to be in parliament. I'll give you an example. Simple. In South Africa, the president sits in parliament. In the UK, the prime minister sits in parliament because they use a parliamentary democracy. But in Zambia, we have a mixture of a parliamentary and the presidential system, which results into giving the presidency autonomy over everything. The president, even right now, under the constitution, the president can dissolve parliament right now. You can debate all you want. Go to the constitution. The president can dissolve parliament and everything starts afresh. You know why? It's because a lot of power has been given to one office, an individual. And this is a colonial hangover, which we've not cured. And like I always say, if we don't understand where we're coming from, we are not going to understand where we are going. And once we miss our history, it's easy to be dribbled of our will. Because when you have a will without foundation, you do not have stamina. And this is where we are. We are not addressing the actual enemy. We are addressing the literal enemy. Somebody we can just see, oh, no, but who sent that person to insult you is where we are not getting the point. This is why now we are saying, we the youths now are going to drive the wheels of the spirit of Zambia. Butane, thanks to whichever, I'm not going to, here we are not partisan, here we are patriots to Zambia. Thanks to whoever is not supporting Butane, Natotela, may God bless them and let whoever doesn't support Butane, may they see heaven in Jesus' name. You know why? Because Butane is going to be us, the Zambian people, voluntarily creating a one-party state. Now, when we create a one-party state, there's no going to whatever. There won't be a freedom of expression. There won't be human rights commission will be stripped of their autonomy to speak. The parliament will not supersede over debt anything. The Bank of Zambia will not supersede over monetary policy. Even the church will be subjective to government because it is going to be in the constitution. It will be a president saying, church, whatever you're saying doesn't matter because the constitution says this. Now, which government in this world is bigger than God Almighty? So some of these things, when I saw that the church was there raising placards, a church is not an MP. A church is a private citizen like all of us here. So why would you be raising placards in the name of the church against a private citizen? You go to CR1. You even go to CR1 who is in South Africa. CR1 is not an ambassador of Nigeria and South Africa. So you, as a people in Zambia, you are going to protest against the CR1 for what? CR1 is a private distraction. No, that's what I'm saying. We are not addressing the real issue. What is the problem in Zambia? Look, corruption is not a cause of problems. No. Put this on record, please. Don't forget this and tell your next generation. Corruption is a product of poverty and inequality. Okay? Because where there's poverty and inequality, there will be deals, there will be shortcuts for people to enjoy. Right. Because you have not provided an enabling environment of equality where people look at this. You remove meal allowances at UNZA, okay? you remove bursary at UNZA, you limit it. Now, what are you going to cause? For someone to get a bursary at UNZA has to know someone. It's what you have created. Someone, it's not about your intelligence, no, it's about who somebody with 10 points will get a sponsorship. Somebody with 6 points won't get it because you have limited. Opportunities shouldn't be limited. Opportunities should be available according to philosophy. So now this is the danger that we have, which I want every Zambian to get for free. When you make knowledge expensive, you limit it. And when you limit knowledge, you shut it. It's because those with genuine ability and capacity to explore and actualize it will not have the opportunity equally. Okay, this is what we have in Zambia. If you look, in the 1960s, in the United States, they built the World Trade Centers, those buildings which were dropped in 9/11. They were built in the 1960s. In the 1960s, America was building the Boeing 747, an aircraft which carries the American president. It was built in the 1960s. We were fighting for independence at that time. So are you see how behind we are? Now we are in a generation where there's no developing country which should give excuse for anything. Why? Because right now, if you want to be like America, you just tell an American engineer, come and train our people for 5 years, then we can build what we want to build. But we can't do that. We always want to import toothpicks, import spoony, import tropical, everything. Now, if you cannot make what you're consuming, do you think you even have a decision of what kind of oxygen you're breathing tomorrow? No. That's why we are saying we need to come down to the drawing board. Butane, even if it doesn't pass tonight, there's no Zambian who is going to contract coronavirus because butane has not passed. Tell me one. No one. There's no Zambian who is going to have cheaper electricity if butane passes. No one. There's no Zambian who is going to buy cheaper meal, who is going to pay lower school fees. There's no Zambian who is going to have meal allowances in university. Because tell me, I'm always asking this question, and please put it on record. What clause or article in butane is in the interest of one Zambian, not 17 million Zambian, one Zambian? Nothing. So why are we wasting time on a bill that is preventing us from looking? Right now, as we're speaking, Beijing in China is on lockdown. There's a second wave of coronavirus. The first case of coronavirus was recorded in November 2019. In November 2019, we were discussing butane. We came back in February, we opened parliament, we were discussing butane. Our friends in Madagascar were in the lab looking for medication. Madagascar, we are still discussing.
Thank you.
Please, people, help me. What do we want for Zambia? Is butane the future of Zambia?
No.
Yeah.
Is a one-party state. That's what I'm saying. What kind of a Zambia? Someone is diverting our attention and energy to something else away from the problem. Now, we are not going to divert. I'm sorry to say this. We are not going to divert. We are going to remain steadfast, and we are going to put the real issues on the table. So that we solve the problem of the African
Hold on, sir. I need to thank. Hold on. I need to thank my super chatters. Oh my God, we've received $50, $30 from Alice Musonda. She contributed 20 earlier and now 10 and another super chat. Thank you so much. Woo! Thank you for your donations, ladies. Thank you so much. Alice Musonda says, I am proud of you. You're doing such an amazing, wonderful job. Keep up the great work. You are enlightening us. Our mindsets are changing, sister. Thank you so much. Honestly, I wasn't expecting this. So when I saw it, I said, just stop you for a bit. And then Minnie Kita from the US, I believe, or Jamaica, has contributed $20 as well. Thank you so much. Let's stop for this. Thank you. You can carry on. You can carry on. Yeah, you can carry on.
So
Just because it goes so quick and they may feel like we haven't.
Let me summarize so that I can see other participants, and there's no one who has wisdom, who has monopoly over knowledge and wisdom. So I'm sorry that it's my frustration that I tend to speak. So Lily knows I'm so frustrated, and
doing a good job.
What we are saying is, what we are dealing with now is the kind of Zambia where if you're a parent in Zambia, if you're a grandparent in Zambia, if you're an uncle in Zambia, you are looking at your nephews, your grandchildren, and your children, you're looking at your wife. What kind of a Zambia do you want to for them? Because the kind of Zambia we are going to hand over to the next generation is the pension we are going to give to them, the pension of our wisdom and the spirit. Okay, Zambia is not losing anything if we don't lend.
There's some background noise somewhere. Somebody amongst us. There's some funny noise coming out.
It should be African.
So
African child.
Can I carry on, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so
carry on,
what we have to think of now is what kind of a Zambia, the Zambia that we are enjoying, you and me now. Someone died for this 50 years ago. This is what we have to remember. And when I see pensioners, people that have worked 10 years ago at the Ministry of Justice, crying, even holding the Bible to ask God who they didn't work for, the government that they worked for is not giving them their pension. Now, I'm asking myself, the GX you are driving at Parliament, at the ministry, was funded by this pensioner who is crying outside your office, and you are turning a blind eye. And let's go back to the Bible, where the Bible says there will come a time when God will separate the sheep from the goats, the cows from the elephants, and you will be asked, when I did not have water, did you give me water? When I didn't have clothing, did you give me a shade? These things are in the Bible. And I don't know why we are ignoring them and doing this Mickey Manor stuff that doesn't help the society. Okay, so we need to create normalcy in Zambia. Me, I'm shocked that a lawyer who has been to law school, who has been to Faculty of Law in Zambia, went to law school at Viari, broke the constitutional provision of freedom of expression, and he told the youths, say, go and break their bonds. Now, you want to break the bonds of the voter, who is going to vote for you? How are people going to walk to go and cast a ballot if you break their bonds? Some of these things, I'm just wondering what kind of a society we're living in. So we need a Zambia that we are going to create for ourselves. Me, I'm in the UK, and I'll tell you for free. The first underground train station in the UK was completed in 1893, before we even had the first black president in Zambia. Why? It is technology I'm talking about. And the technology is not a miracle. People thought, and the Bible says, as man thinketh, so is he. Meaning you have to think and create a kind of society that you want and hand over to your next generation. And this is the Zambia. It's not too late to change the road that's in Zambia. It's never too late. Even the Bible will tell you it's never too late. At any point that you repent and confess your sins, you can start afresh. So here we are repenting the sins that have been committed in Zambia, and we are confessing, and we are saying it by word to say we want a better Zambia. We the people, we want a better Zambia, because there's nothing that God has created us for apart from managing this world for the betterment of ourselves and the generations to come. So whatever we are going to do now for Zambia is going to define what kind of a new Zambia we are going to have. And Butane is not creating a better Zambia. I am very sorry for those people of faith that called themselves the church yesterday. They didn't represent me. They represented themselves. But the majority of Zambians want to see a retiree getting their salary. The majority of Zambians want to see a Zambia where a president is elected on 50+1 of a majoritarian vote. The Zambian people want to see the chiefs. And this is one thing that we have neglected. The spirits of our ancestors in African history has been shattered. and God is not happy. You can go to CR1's page, you're going to watch that session. The spirits of our ancestors, and I'm not speaking against Christianity, no. I am putting Christianity and our African tradition together, okay? Because both of them work on spirits. The spirits of our ancestors are not happy because we have run away from them that fought for us, that were before us millions of years ago. We have put them in the bin. We have embraced something else. So this is why the spirits are tied. They cannot give us the platform to build ourselves because we have decided to shelve them away. So they don't have the platform to help us. So let us embrace our ngawalikwata mbuyewobe babwali akuncherenge bali from 1940. Appreciate them now so that their spirit can motivate you, can fight for you, for that job you are looking for that contract you are looking for. They will fight for you. By the time you go in that office, your spirit speak for you. Okay? Our next our sungu, the spirit of their Abraham, the spirit of their what? Fear our sungu. But we, as an Afrocentric movement, we need to also embrace our spirit because God created all of us in his image. So God didn't create anything by mistake, unless the Bible I'm reading is wrong. But as long as I know, God created all of us in his image and likeness of him. So as we think, so we are. So we are not going to get $5 million and give the French people in France to think for us how to pay our national debt. No, we the Zambian people know how to pay back the debt we contracted because we think as we are. So we cannot make ourselves inferior. Look, we are so confused that God is being stolen in Mwilunga and we are not aware. We are not aware because we are so confused that we are not appreciating ourselves. And I'm sorry to speak so much, but please bear with me. I just want to put this on record so that Nangusha Kabeko in the next 50 years, the next generation will say someone said something. And I will say something. Can we create the new Zambia?
Thank you so much, sir.
Can I add something as well, please?
Let's add Joanne. Joanne, you want to say something?
Yes, Lily. First and foremost, there is a difference between knowledge or being educated and being educated and having wisdom. There is also a difference between a person who's not educated but has got wisdom. It is only out of wisdom that a person will have the ability to put up the right judgment to any situation, just like Solomon did. So at times, like what is happening, because of lack of wisdom from our friends, hence the possibility of consulting other people to give them wisdom to do certain things. And remember, the Bible says the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. If a person cannot have the fear of God, it is very difficult for them to have wisdom to lead a nation. Hence, we need leaders that will have the fear of God in them, for them to be granted wisdom by God to lead Zambia. Secondly, there was a mention of not being too sure of who to support. At the moment, we are talking the way we are talking because of uncertainty. Looking at the current situation, we are all frustrated. We all want change. We all want better for Zambia. We want better for the children. We want better for the generations to come. Hence, my request is at this moment where we all are not being sure, can we have some of these opposition leaders come on board? This is the only platform that we have as Zambians to ask them what do they have to offer. We don't want a situation where we bring in people, we even worsen the situation than it is right now. Like you mentioned, we've got a lot of questions for these leaders that we have. Talk of cadarism. which opposition is handling cadarism? Talk of taxes. The taxes are too high for every Zambian. I haven't heard of any opposition at the moment, opposition leader who's advocating to reduce the taxes in Zambia, which brings fear in me. Even if you pick on any opposition leader, will they even worsen the situation? Because what is affecting the Zambian community at the moment are the high taxes. I did a tabulation, if you remember the other time, of how the salary of a Zambian is tabulated, which doesn't really make sense. Secondly, is it possible we can have the people like Professor Lumumba? I'm pleading with you, if there is a possibility, I would want that man to speak to the Zambian youths. We were denied the opportunity when he came in Zambia, was returned by at the airport and went back. We need such type of wisdom. We need such type of people to talk to us, to open our eyes for us to see a better Africa, a better Zambia than what is happening. That's my request.
Yeah. Can I add something, if that's okay?
Yes, I'm listening.
Go on. Go on, sis, go on.
Okay, I just wanted to say, to bring back the conversation to the Chinese language. For me personally, I feel the Chinese are not there for us. They're not in Zambia for us. There's a lot of activity going on there, which points to the fact that they're not there for us. They're there for themselves. It's not even a partnership, which is equal for mutual benefit between the two countries. So when you look at the owning of ZNBC, the percentage of it that they own, that just leads to control for the media. The next thing that follows after that is imposing their own language on our country. And with the way the Chinese and the corrupt Zambian government are working together, you're finding a situation where the people who are empowered in Zambia to own businesses and engage in different types of activity are the Chinese. So you're going to find a situation now where, because Zambians are not empowered, the Zambians won't have businesses. It will be the Chinese people. So there will be more and more Chinese emigrating to Zambia. So with the language already imposed on the country, those people will be comfortable. It will be easy for them to settle into Zambia, as someone said earlier. And then the situation that you will have is that the Zambians will be working for the Chinese, because now they've imposed the language on you. There's going to be rules where you have to be speaking Chinese to get a job. But because the Chinese because the employers are Chinese, you will have nothing. No, you will have no choice but to. That's the only way you will be able to get a job. And you're going to have a situation now where even your language is going to be banned. You're not going to be allowed to speak your language because the country has basically been sold. So what I'm trying to point to here is that we're in a crisis. We are in a crisis. The current government, I know we've talked about we need change of mindset. We need to make the people accountable. Look at the time that we have between now and 2020. We're halfway through 2020. You know, the election is very soon. There's activity that the corrupt government is engaging in, which is pointing to voter suppression. You know, they want less people. They're aiming for a smaller number of people to be registered when you have a larger amount of people who can register for, to vote. And then they've restricted the time to 1 month. There's coronavirus. It makes sense that you extend the time when there's coronavirus, because if you're going to put in rules for social distancing, for voter registration, this is going to take a much longer time for registration. So it makes no sense that you would reduce that time. It does not make any sense at all. So when you put all of these things together, you can see it's pointing to the fact that there's only one group of people who are going to benefit from the Zambian leadership disintegrating and being destroyed, and that is the Chinese person. I also wanted to say something quickly, because there was a Zambian man, a young man who was educated in China and he's fluent in Chinese. I'd asked in the chat, about how the reporting was for Miles Sampa in China, because I heard that it had the video had gone viral, and also that it had made it onto Chinese media. And when I was reading on social media, someone had made a comment and said, oh, you know, I speak Chinese, and the way this has been reported, it has been very, very biased. But I haven't heard that much about it in Zambia. It's for us, it's sort of just ended on, oh, they've made Miles Sampa apologize. No one else is standing up for the Zambians. But there's no one reporting on the fact that the way this situation has been reported in China, it's been very biased. So the young man that was on here, I think it's him, African, was it African in China?
African China.
Yeah.
He's gone. Yeah, I've been looking for
Oh,
him.
he's gone.
He's
Oh,
gone.
that is unfortunate. But he did mention that the story was very, 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 very biased. How it was reported in China, but it's a shame that he's gone. I would have loved for him to explain very quickly to us. But I think these are some of the things that we need to highlight when we're emphasizing that these deals, we're basically like signing a deal with the devil. We need to be exposing these things, and how, because Zambia Zambia ZNBC is not going to report on the bias reporting that is taking place in China.
No, they won't.
You know,
No,
so we need to highlight these things. It's about opening people's minds, exposing the horrible things that are going on, so people can understand that they have to vote to vote wisely. In terms of the candidates, I think we need to look at someone who is committed to ending cadreism. I haven't heard a lot of support for cadreism in Zambia. If anything, that group of people is causing fear. So where you look at the situation, the current government has cadres. UPND does have cadres. So I think UPND, that is something that they're going to have to look at, because this movement is saying, you know, we don't really want cadreism, because it breeds it creates an environment which breeds intimidation and fear among people, and also potentially violence. So we need a candidate to support a candidate who's going to be committed to getting rid of cadreism, someone who is committed to transparency with the transactions and deals they're entering in with foreign investors. We need to see that. We can't have a repeat of what PF is doing, where they're hiding everything. We also need someone who is committed to include the youth in government. We can't have 70-year-olds only in government. So these candidates, before they go in, we need to ask them these questions, and we need to keep pushing for a debate. Whoever does not turn up for the debate, they have no interest. They don't have Zambia's interest at heart. So there's so many angles that we need to look at, because right now we're in a crisis. Please, everyone, be aware that China is there to take over. They are there to take over the country, and the leadership that we have now keeps selling and selling. If we're going to even retain a fraction of what is left, we need to move now. Time is not on our side. We need to move now. So that's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you so much. See, thank you so much, Joanne. I'm sure you are done by now.
Thank you.
Did you want to say anything?
No, just emphasizing on the same point.
Yeah.
We need people to come
Thank
on
you
board.
so
We've
much.
got a lot of questions.
Thank
you. Thank you, Lily.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll do another live stream tomorrow. Zambia is always having lots of issues, but I'm sure maybe this topic we can continue tomorrow again. Thank you so much, Messi. God bless you, my sister.
Thank you.
Sorry. Oh, Joanne is gonna as well. Okay. Wow. It's been an amazing live stream. I'm really grateful to you, my subscribers on my YouTube channel, and you, my followers on Facebook. The reason why I'm linking the two is because I would want my Facebook family also to know what's going on for those who can't afford the data of YouTube. I have subscribers from different parts of the world. We've reached 7,300 subscribers, and I believe by the time we reach the end of this month, we'll be at 70,000 subscribers. I'm so grateful for each and everyone who came on the show. It was unplanned. We didn't plan. I was alone, and then people started coming on board. If we're having a live stream where we know that there's this one coming we'll obviously do it in a certain order. It was just a normal discussion. Let's talk about this. But I'm so grateful anyhow that you have joined me and was part of this live stream. It's a girl, lilymutamztv, also known as Galwapa Umanagashwapa Zambia. For those of you who don't know and are watching me on my Facebook, I am a YouTuber and I have a YouTube channel, and it's lilymutamztv. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel because there's some videos that I don't really post on Facebook because I don't really get the kind of views that I would want. But though I've partnered with Z to be helping, but I would really love you to also subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out on my videos. Because the way I do my videos is different from the way I speak when I'm doing live streams. Videos are different. My, character, just everything is just different. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll appreciate that. And for my super chatters, I'm so grateful. Me, Nikita, thank you for your $20. Alice Musonda, thank you for your $30. And Peace, Love, Coconut Oil, thank you so much for your 20 pounds. I am so grateful. You didn't have to, but you've done it. Like I've said, we're doing this for a great cause to send information out there. We've been, doing things silently in the background, trying to do some flyers and things like that. So any little money that you donate, it really helps. To you, it can be little, but to us, it's a lot of money that can push projects forward. So thank you so much. So as you know, when we end the live stream, we always end it with a song just to say we'll never give up. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Namwachinga ukufilwa na kanana la tulukushabaka fyene mfoye.